What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
7 Iya. Chapter 153-151. Capone Bej's Wealth. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Capone Bej remembered the name, Usopp, in his heart. If he could survive, he would definitely kill this Usopp in the future. Monet, there are a lot of these people. You solve most of them, leaving only the long tongue and the bald head. Lucas said. Clear. Capone Bej must have a lot of money, and he can take it away and use part of it for the construction of marine base. However, withdrawing money does not require too many people. Monet nodded, facing the other side, stretched out his hands. A large number of snowflakes flew towards the little brothers, except for Wit and Gotti. Everyone was surrounded by snowflakes. At first these people thought it was nothing, it was just some ordinary snowflakes, and it came down after a shake. But then there were more and more snowflakes, and a person was directly sealed into a snowman. A little brother broke through the snow. Just about to rush out, a snow mountain directly suppressed them. The temperature is getting lower and lower. Except for Wit and Gotti, everyone is too cold to move and will be frozen to death immediately. All our money can be given to you, please let them go. Wit ran up and pleaded with Lucas. No, I and you both have grudges. Lucas said with a smile. The seriously injured Capone Bej looked at him puzzledly, and Wit quickly asked what was going on, hoping to solve the problem. Lucas didn't answer them because he is Marine. These guys are doing evil, charging protection fees, and harming the interests of ordinary people. Isn't that against the Marine? Against Marine, it made their work more difficult, and they had to work overtime, all year round. This hatred, isn't it big? Wit had something to say, and Gotti quickly grabbed him and stopped letting him talk. Shut up. Gotti glared at Werther. The difference between their strength and Lucas's strength was too great, and now they had no choice at all. It is not easy for them to keep Capone Bej alone. You can see clearly. Lucas smiled at Gotti, and turned to Capone Bej's boat. The two had to reluctantly abandon the snowbound companion behind and follow behind Lucas. They felt that Capone Bej's fortune was saved. Lucas walked ahead, even if the other party paid for it, he never said that he would exchange the money for Capone Bej's life. Bad, or he is bad. Advertisement. After boarding Capone Bej's ship, Lucas ordered the two to sail to Capone Bej's site, and Capone Bej was handcuffed, chained, and kept in a room. At least until he gets the money from the other party, Lucas will let him live temporarily. Standing on the deck, Lucas looked at the island. As early as Capone Bej killed the big boss Garrus, Moria ran away. I don't know where the opponent will go. And the two Capone Bej's men were busy with the boat sailing at this time. A few days later, on the shore of an island, Capone Bej's boat was docked on the shore, and there was no one on board. In a mansion on the island, Lucas sat in the first seat, looking at the two of Wit and Gotti in front of him. This is all your money and treasure. Lucas pointed to the two boxes in front of him. One box was filled with Bailey, and the other box was filled with gold and silver jewelry. Yes, please hurry up and fulfill your promise. Wit said quickly. At this time Capone Bej was watched by Monet, and no one was able to come close to saving him. Too little. You have collected protection fees for so many years and some black income. I don't believe that. We really only have so much, and most of the money is spent on expanding the power to recruit people. Wit explained quickly. Do you think I will believe your nonsense? Lucas patted the table and laughed. Okay. Wit sighed helplessly, it seemed that they were really miserable now. After provoking someone who shouldn't be provoked, the other lion opened his mouth, and now they can't get back to Capone Bej without having a big blood. Please come with me, Wit said, walking outside the house, taking Lucas to where they hid the money. Lucas stood up and followed him out of the house. In his perception, a sniper on the opposite roof was aiming at him. Using the shave, Lucas moved quickly and disappeared in place, rushed to the opposite house, sprinted on the moonwalk, and came to the roof. Lucas, who suddenly disappeared and appeared suddenly, scared the killer. The long sword in his hand was pulled out in an instant, and the sun mirrored the blade. With the pattern of the knife, Guangwa fell with one knife, splitting the killer and the gun into two. Advertisement. In Lucas's perception, no other killer was found. He jumped off the roof and walked in front of Wit. I changed my mind. If money doesn't satisfy me where you take me, I will let Monet kill Capone Bej. Lucas sneered. Quote. Wit looked gloomy and wanted to kill Lucas, but his strength didn't allow. In desperation, he had no choice but to talk about another place to hide money. Lucas nodded in satisfaction. Afternoon. The two came to an island and got 3 boxes of gold and silver treasures from Capone Bej from this treasure place. Then they went to the next island and took away 4 boxes of gold and silver treasures. Lucas returned to Capone Bej's house with these treasures with satisfaction. There are 8 boxes of gold and silver treasures and a box of Bailey in the hall. Lucas smiled with satisfaction, half of which was exchanged for money and distributed to a large number of civilians. 1/4 goes to the individual, 1/4 is placed on the marine base and used on the marine base. Hey, Lucas sighed. To be a Marine, he would have to pay to increase Marine's combat power. It was not easy for him. The best model of Marine of the year. Wit looked at Lucas, who was shaking his head and sighing, thinking that the other party would not buy it at all and was dissatisfied. He looked at each other in embarrassment. No matter how much we have, we won't have any money. Brothers will have to tighten their waists to live. Wit looked at Lucas pitifully, and said that you would just let Capone Beige. This time they really didn't have any Pele. Yes, you call all of you can do it for Capone Beige's money and life. I admire the feelings between you very much, and I was moved by you. Half of this will be given to you. I am willing to reconcile with you, Lucas said. Then, Capone Beige was helped in by Monet, and Monet let Capone Beige sit next to Lucas. Wit was pleasantly surprised and quickly thanked Lucas excitedly, and then ran out to find their people. Even Capone Beige was confused by Lucas. What's the situation with this guy? Lucas smiled kindly at Capone Beige. Chapter 154,152. Jonchung Fruit +1. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Monet sighed silently for these people. How could Lucas let these people go? These people Lucas didn't want to keep them alive in the first place. After a long time, Wit and Gotti took their people to Capone Beige's house one after another, looking excitedly at the boxes in the room. The lid of each box was opened wide, and the gold and silver treasures shook their eyes. I forgot about Capone Beige one by one. There is only dazzling money in my eyes. Capone Beige never looked at the treasure from beginning to end. His purpose is only to unify the West Blue underground forces, and take the first level of others as pleasure. If you have no money, you can collect protection fees, and you can still earn black income. If your life is gone, you will have nothing. It's all here. Arrive, then divide the money, Lucas said with a smile. Now he is almost the same as the one who has risen strongly and became the boss of the underground power overnight. These little brothers shouted in excitement one after another, rushing up one by one, pounced on the treasures. Monet, kill them, Lucas said with a smile. Quote. Monet glanced at Lucas helplessly. The room was filled with heavy snow in an instant, and the heavy snow flew quickly, bringing a strong cold wind to cover all of Capone Beige's men. The little brothers who robbed the treasure looked at Lucas in horror. This guy is simply the devil. The last moment he smiled and shouted, divide the money, the next moment he smiled and said to kill them all. And Wit and Gotti, this time did not escape Monet's attack range. The two of them were the first to be sealed into human-shaped specimens. Seeing that the anxious Capone Beige was about to stand up and resist, Lucas instantly came to him with a shave, grabbed Capone Beige, and punched him in the head. The temperature in the room was getting lower and lower, and Lucas was beaten by Capone Beige with no power to fight back. Lucas glanced at Monet. Monet nodded and walked out. After a while, she was holding a basket of fruit. There are various fruits inside. Placing fruits next to Capone Beige, Lucas pierced the opponent's heart with a single knife. Beige didn't even scream, his head crooked and died. Advertisement. Lucas sat aside, watching whether these devil fruits changed. After a long time, a fruit suddenly changed, forming a new devil fruit. Lucas walked up in surprise, picked up the fruit, and looked at it. Capone Beige's Jonchung fruit is here. In the future, there will be one less evil generation in the sea. Monet stood quietly on the side. She will always be Lucas's subordinate. Lucas's native method can get devil fruit, but she didn't ask, why not tell the world government? From the very beginning, Lucas's subordinates have been trained as cronies by him. In terms of diet, money, and training, Lucas is best for his subordinates. He often caught sea beasts to nourish his subordinates, beat the pirates, and got the ownerless money. In many cases, he would distribute half of the money to the civilians. For the remaining half, he half divided with his subordinates. In terms of training, Lucas does his duty and constantly teaches them. For Marine who has learned armed color, he will go to teach the other side to further advanced use of armed color. But, most people haven't learned it. Learn to entangle at most. He was really good to his subordinates, and his subordinates regarded him as the only and most trustworthy officer. Marine, who stayed on his ship for a long time, fully obeyed his orders, as if he were a crony. Lucas put the fruit of the strong city into a bag, and then looked at Monet. Marine will come to this island soon, let's go. Okay. Monet nodded, she already knew this. Kong Ming Vice Admiral will bring Marine to this island soon. Kong Ming Vice Admiral will take people around here and take Capone Beige's money away. Lucas discussed with Kong Ming Vice Admiral in advance that the money will be distributed according to his requirements. Kong Ming Vice Admiral was still very angry at first. How can the seized money be privately divided? But helplessly, Lucas did not regress, and the money really did not belong to the world government, and he was not good at forcibly turning in the money. It's not worth it because this little thing happens unhappily. Besides, Kong Ming feels he can't beat Lucas. But the veteran Marine is worthy of being a man of justice, and he has brought justice to the fullest. Kong Ming said that he would not want the money. Advertisement. Lucas was moved and cried. As soon as Lucas and Monet left with their front feet, Vice Admiral Kong Ming arrived with his back feet and directly surrounded Capone Beige's home. Kong Ming Vice Admiral walked in. The place was already empty, only the densely packed snowman specimens in the room. Taking a look at the boxes, Kong Ming waved his hand and took it away. He looked at the treasures in these boxes with a complicated expression. He didn't understand what kind of person Lucas was when he fell to the ground. Said he was righteous, indeed Tenton was shouting to go out and fight the pirates. He said he was greedy for money and took part of the money for himself and his subordinates, but the other party distributed half of the money to poor civilians. I really don't understand this guy. At this time, Lucas and Monet had already boarded Capone Beige's ship. On the ship, a Marine stood in front of Lucas, reporting. That's it. Lucas nodded. The Marine got off the boat and went away. He figured out Moriya's whereabouts through Marine's intelligence, and Akin's actions went smoothly. Jin and Shiromu have now met Daz Bonus smoothly. They have become famous among the pirates of West Blue, and even the people of the underground forces cannot ignore them. Akin will have a two-color hockey, which is already a strong presence in the world where hockey does not know what it is. And Daz Bonus himself is a powerful West Blue bounty hunter, and his reputation is not small. He had nowhere to go, and had a fight with a Jin, but his quick-cutting ability did not even cut a Jin's armed color. This fascinated him. Daz Bonus Tenten found Akin to try, and both of them became friends. Lucas sat on the boat, and the boat slowly left the island. Now Akin's plan is smooth, and after a while, he can proceed with his plan. Behind Lucas, Monet hugged him. It's almost done, it's no one and still acting. No, they take it seriously, anyway you are responsible, Monet said with a grin. Quote. Lucas couldn't laugh or cry. Fortunately, there was a female seaman Monet on his boat. If there were 3 or 4 female seamen who admired and liked him, wouldn't it be a quarrel? Chapter 155,153. Hunt Moriya. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. According to West Blue's intelligence, Lucas knows that now, except for the newly emerged Capone Beige, West Blue has 5 dominant underground power groups. And just before, Capone Beige used the fruit power to kill one of these 5 dominant underground power groups. But, Ajin and Chungmu pretended to be more like pirates, and directly took Chungmu to fight one of the 5 major underground power groups. Unfortunately, Daz Bonus and Akin also sparked and became friends. This guy followed Jin to fight the big guy. The 3 men abused the big brother's little brothers to perfection, and directly killed the big brother. Since then, Ajin and Chungmu have become well known in West Blue, and they have also taken in a group of pirate boys. This pirate version of Infernal Affairs is really getting more and more slippery. And because of this, West Blue still has 3 major underground power groups. The ship sailed slowly on the sea, and Lucas was eating grilled fish and drinking wine in the ship. He is now on the way to follow Moriya. There is not a large number of subordinates to follow, and he doesn't need to worry about others. He suddenly feels so free. By the way, where are we going? Monet looked at Lucas worriedly. He has passed through several islands, hasn't he reached his destination yet? She misses marine life a bit. After all, Lucas's navigation skills stop at common sense. It is too difficult to expect him to lead the way. What are you afraid of? I have permanent pointers. I'm afraid of getting lost. Lucas pointed to the permanent pointers on the table. He had a lot of permanent pointers for West Blue. Where did Moriya run and where did he follow? Moriya was killed. He, who burst orange from Capone Beige, is now on his head, hoping that Moriya will also burst him with an orange. Then when will we get to his island? Monet asked. It's almost here. Lucas coughed twice. That's what you said yesterday, right? Blind, tell the truth. Lucas quickly stood up, took the grilled fish and the wine bottle and walked outside, blowing the sea breeze. Sitting at the bow of the ship, Lucas looked at an island that appeared in the distance. Look, isn't this here? The boat docked on the shore, and Lucas jumped off the boat after eating and drinking. Although the thriller bark was not seen in the waters near here, Lucas did spot 2 people on the island. Advertisement. One of them is his main goal Moriya. And the other person, one of the pirate LSP, one of the characters who committed the anger, LSP Absalom who ate the transparent fruit. This time Moriya went on a trip and brought Absalom. Maybe it was to make it easier to steal the body. Lucas and Monet once again pretended to be little lovers, and came to the island in plain clothes. In his perception, Moriya and Absalom were in a tavern. Lucas and Monet headed towards the tavern together. Walking into the tavern, there was a noise. In this tavern, pirates and underground forces accounted for the majority. Finding a place near the door, Lucas and Monet sat down next to each other. Lucas glanced at the interior of the tavern. Not far away, 2 people, one tall and one short, were drinking and eating. One is Gecko Moriya and the other is Absalom. Moriya is much taller than Lucas, and Absalom is much shorter than Lucas. Lucas glanced at Monet, even Monet was not higher than Abu Saro. So far so good. Monet is more than 2 meters tall, he is taller than Monet. If he is more than 1 meter tall, and Monet pursues him again, the picture can't be imagined. What's the matter? Monet looked at Lucas puzzledly, didn't he say that he would kill Moriya? The most adorable height difference. Lucas gestured for the height difference between Monet and him, and smiled. Huh, Monet looked at him puzzled, not understanding. Lucas ordered 2 bottles of wine, drank with Monet, and looked at Moriya, preparing to observe each other before talking. At the entrance of the pub, a man with a cane and a top hat came in. He scanned the pub and smiled. He glanced at the seat at the door, came to Lucas and smiled and said, I wonder if I can sit here. Please sit down. Lucas motioned casually. However, he glanced at each other and recognized this guy. Devil Sheriff Lafitte. Lafitte looked at Lucas's face, looked at him in surprise, and then his expression returned to normal. Lucas saw Lafitte's performance in his eyes, and it seemed that Lafitte recognized him. It seems that there are still people who are not face blind. Advertisement. Lucas was drinking and watching Moriya. Lafitte will join Blackbeard many years later and become the opponent's navigator. This person was very courageous and dared to go to Mariajoy alone and recommended Blackbeard as Shichibukai. However, Lucas didn't want to kill the opponent for the time being. He just wants to kill Moria now. The shadow fruit and transparent fruit are worth grabbing for his subordinates. Lafitte has recognized Lucas, and as a security officer for West Blue, he never felt that he had done something wrong. His violence was used on the pirates and members of the underground forces, and since Lucas sent the Don Quixote family in to impel down, he had paid attention to Lucas. I don't know what your name is. Lafitte asked with a smile. Lucas turned his attention away from Moria and looked at Lafitte. This guy, asked knowingly. Usopp. Lucas finished, and continued to look at Moria. Hey, even if he recognizes him and asks, then he will use a fake name. Quote question mark quote. Lafitte looked at Lucas and laughed. This person is so funny. He was a rear admiral from naval headquarters, but he went to West Blue and pretended to be an ordinary swordsman. When he heard Usopp, he became more interested in Lucas. In the past, he paid attention to each other, only to think that this was just a marine with great potential. But combined with what he had heard before, Lafitte knew more about Lucas. Capone Beige, and all his little brothers, were all killed. It is said that the person who killed Capone Beige was a swordsman named Usopp. Usopp ordered his men to kill all Capone Beige's men. For this kind of person, the harshest punishment should be used. Violence is trivial. Lafitte discovered a hidden feature of Lucas. For most of the pirates, the other party killed them if they said they would kill them. Lafitte has already discovered who Lucas is watching, Moria. Lucas watched Moria and Absalom stand up, without intending to do it. Although most of the people sitting in this tavern are not good people, there are still a lot of civilians on the street. Once the two fight, it's fine to accidentally injure the civilians. He planned to run out and kill him when Moria stole the body at night. Chapter 156,154. Kill Moria in a second. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. It was getting dark. Lucas walked out of the hotel, followed by Monet. He felt this town during the day, and did not find Moria's companions other than Absalom. However, according to the information Lucas got, he knew the location of Moria's other companions. Hurrying all the way out of the town, in Lucas's perception, the Lafitte followed. This guy, interested in me. Lucas looked behind him unexpectedly. Without taking care of Lafitte, Lucas went to a grave outside the town and hid him and watched Moria and Absalom steal the bodies. These two guys are so wretched. Monet looked at the two men helplessly. Lucas nodded approvingly, looking at Absalom, who was digging a grave in front of the grave in the dark, putting a corpse in the cart, and the accomplice Moria on the side. Moria was also the one who fought Kaido before, although she was defeated. But now that he has fallen to the point of creating zombies, no one is there anymore. Lucas attached speed and strength gains to himself, rushed out instantly, drew his sword and slashed. Under the night, a gust of wind rushed, but Lucas was nowhere to be seen. Moria had already spotted Lucas. Although the opponent was too fast, he still managed to hide in the shadow of the warrior. Kagemusha, Moria can exchange positions between his shadow and the main body, which is very useful to dodge the opponent's attack. In the distance, Moria looked at Absalom, who was caught by Lucas, and looked at each other anxiously. Quickly put Absalom down for me. Moria yelled angrily. He hasn't started planning yet, but he can't allow anyone to kill his companions. Humph. Monet snorted coldly, rushing up, and a large amount of snowflakes rushed towards Moria. Moria used the Shadow Mage to directly let the Shadow Clone hit Monet. Moria rushed towards Lucas. Shadow Horn Gun. Turn the shadow into a spear and stab Lucas. In the original book, Moria used this trick to penetrate Little Oz's body. Lucas held Absalom in one hand, his body disappeared instantly and appeared in the distance. The Shadow Horn knocked down several big trees, and Moria continued to rush towards Lucas. Lucas stunned the dishonest Absalom with a palm, then came to Moria's back in an instant, and slashed at Moria. Advertisement. Puff. Moria didn't keep up with Lucas's speed this time. He looked at the broken left arm in horror. The left arm fell to the ground and blood was flying. Sign. Moria turned and faced Lucas with a shadow gun. Lucas once again avoided Moria's shadow horn gun, and then came behind Moria and swung a knife. Moria quickly exchanged positions with the shadow clone and barely avoided. Lucas's long knife covered the arm color and slashed at Moria's shadow clone. The shadow has suffered substantial damage, and Moria, who is the main body, will also be injured, right? Moria did not make Lucas wish. The shadow clone turned into a large number of bats scattered and flew into the sky. Moria came not far from Monet, feeling the temperature in the air getting lower and lower, and a lot of snow pounced on him. Directly used a shadow gun at Monet, and killed the woman first. Monet's whole person instantly turned into a large number of snowflakes, scattered, avoiding Moria's shadow gun, and then produced a large number of cold-stained snowflakes, as many snowflakes as snow-capped mountains rushed towards Moria. Moria instantly exchanged positions with the shadow bat in the sky and came into the air. Moria did not know why there was Marine to deal with Shichibukai, but the other party did kill him. He had only two choices: escape or desperately. Running away from his subordinate Absalom is over, desperately. He has not yet begun to harvest shadows. To deal with Lucas, the strongest move now is only the shadow gun. Without shadows, shadow gathering places cannot be used. Just as Moria was hesitating, a figure flew quickly, and a sword pierced Moria. Shadow horn gun. A shadow spear flew out, directly hitting the attacker. Lafitte looked at the broken sword, but fortunately, he hid in time, otherwise he would die. Yo, are you trying to help me? Lucas looked at Lafitte unexpectedly. Maria accepted the invitation of 7 warlords of the sea. Is it okay for you to kill him like this? Lafitte fell to Lucas and looked at each other with a smile. It's only Shichibukai. It's still a pirate after all. Just kill one and find it again. Lucas said nonchalantly. At most, I could find an excuse to say that Moria killed civilians and shot his subordinate Monet, so that he would kill the other side. Advertisement. Between one's own and outsiders, the world government must stand on his side, believe his words, and add fuel and vinegar to promote a wave of marine justice. Lafitte looked at Lucas with satisfaction. Such a talent is right, no matter what the opponent is, as long as it is a pirate, the killing is over, no matter how much it is. In my original country, I was expelled because of excessive violence against criminals. That group of upper echelons is simply MDZZ. Lucas threw Absalom to Monet, and then quickly chased Moria on the moonwalk. Moria ran in the forest, looking behind him from time to time. Sue. There was a lot of noise in the grass, but Lucas just couldn't be seen. In horror, Moria quickly exchanged positions with the distant shadow, speeding up the pace of escape. Lucas rushed over in an instant and kicked Moria's head. Boom. Moria flew out in an instant. Before landing, Lucas rushed behind the opponent and kicked Moria's head again. Boom. The big trees were knocked down by Moria flying upside down, and Moria flew upside down back to the original place. Lafitte looked at Moria flying over with excitement, and drew his gun to shoot. Stop. Monet snorted coldly and stopped the excited Lafitte. Lafitte looked at Lucas with the knife away in confusion. Relying on the extremely fast speed, the opponent kept kicking Moria as a ball. Moria kept flying back and forth, and Lucas kept flashing back and forth. Kicked Moria's body. Moria, who was invited to become Shichibukai, had no resistance to Lucas's powerful attack. Puff. Moria fell to the ground and glided for a certain distance. Moria was wounded and beaten and swollen. Moria was totally unhuman. Lucas walked over and took the seastone handcuffs from his waist with gloved hands, and threw one to Monet and the other to Moria. Monet was wearing gloves, holding seastone handcuffs, and handcuffing Absalom. Lucas stepped up to Moria, glanced at Lafitte, turned and left. Monet hurriedly followed. Lafitte looked at Lucas's back with interest. This guy, don't you kill him. Chapter 157,155. Shadow Fruit Happy +1. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Lucas and Monet took Moria and Absalom all the way to their boat. Lucas lifted the anchor up, raised the sails, and the ship slowly left the island. In his perceptions, Lafitte did not follow. Back in the boat, Lucas looked at Moria and Absalom who were tied up. I'm Shichibukai, you can't catch me. Moria yelled, struggling. Assault Marine, I have the right to kill you. Quote. Moria looked at Lucas in shock. This shameless guy, even if he made up the reason, the other party didn't intend to imprison him into impel down, but wanted to kill him. Monet came over with a large basket of fruit, filled the basket with fruit, and placed it around Moria and Absalom. You, what are you doing? Moria looked at Lucas puzzledly. That's a lot of nonsense. Lucas slapped Moria's mouth with a slap. Then he took out the dagger, and it was a knife against Absalom. The sharp blade of the dagger pierced Absalom's chest and took away his vitality. Lucas looked at the fruits around. Moria yelled at him angrily. Absalom was killed, he wanted to kill Lucas. After a while, Moria calmed down and looked at Lucas puzzledly, then he looked at the fruits placed around him and Absalom. Are there any ceremonies for these two Marines? After a while, Lucas shook his head helplessly. It seems that you are not lucky, Moria, you must fight for your breath. Quote. Moria looked at Lucas with a look of, are you sick? What kind of plane is this guy doing? Lucas didn't explain anything to a dead person. He pierced Moria's chest with a knife. The sharp blade pierced through the heart, and came out from behind Moria's body, revealing the tip of the knife. Moria didn't even utter a painful cry, her head tilted and she lost her voice. Lucas sat opposite Moria, looked at the fruits on the ground, praying in his heart, give an orange reward. Now he is in the same mood as playing a game, hoping to produce a 5-star orange. After a while, a fruit changed. The light blue stalk and light blue peel wrap the whole fruit, and inside is the fruit with patterns on the black strap. Lucas picked up the shadow fruit and examined it carefully. Advertisement. The more I look at it, the happier he is. Today, he is simply the Emperor of Europe. 2 fruit abilities can use this stupid method to get a fruit. Isn't the shipment rate 50%? This is much higher than the probability of a Krypton game of drawing characters. Monet brought a box and opened it. Inside the box was a Capone Bedge's fortified city fruit, and Lucas put Moria's shadow fruit in it. Clapping his hands, Lucas was extremely satisfied. The second day, dark clouds were overwhelming, violent storms swept the sea, and on the rough sea, a ship slowly sailed forward. And farther away from this ship, on a ship, there were pirates killed everywhere on the deck. Akin sat on the boat and waited quietly. Last night, he had already wiped out the big underground power they were going to challenge. Taking away the other party's money, they killed each other's people, and they had already left there. Agent separated from Chungmu and Daz Bonus and came here alone. In the distance, a ship approached slowly, and Lucas was discovered in Akin's observation hockey's perception. Lucas walked on the moonwalk and came to Akin's ship. How is it? Lucas asked. Everything went well, Akin said, following Lucas's line of sight and seeing a pirate ship next to him. I came across by accident. I have cleaned them up. After Akin finished speaking, Lucas nodded. Take out a box from the package behind, open the box, revealing the devil fruit inside. It depends on your personal wishes. Lucas said. Akin thought for a while, and confirmed his idea of eating devil fruit. Lucas is too strong, he wants to keep up with the opponent's pace. Lucas then introduced the abilities of the two fruits to Akin. One is the fruit of the strong city, which allows a large number of marines to be hidden in the body of the capable person, and a large number of weapons can be put into it. With the addition of buggy ammunition, it is simply a walking large ammunition depot. And the shadow fruit, there are many places that can be developed after eating it. As long as you collect enough pirate shadows, and you usually use pirate shadows, you will not be harmed, and there are many benefits. Advertisement. You can store shadows in multiple places on the battlefield, and you can swap positions between your body and shadow. As long as there are more shadows, teleporting is the same as playing. Anyway, the pirate used by the shadow, the capable person is not afraid of injury. The capable person can continuously teleport to achieve the effect of attacking the enemy. Although shaving can disappear in an instant, and gradually come to the enemy, but after all, it only moves at a high speed, not as fast as a teleportation. In addition, it consumes less energy than shaving. Moreover, Moria has a trick called the Shadow Revolution. This trick has two merits worth noting. 1. The shadow and the entity are connected. If the entity changes, the shadow will also change. In theory, if the shadow changes, the entity will also change. In this way, the capable person can extend, distort, and so on through the change of the shadow, to achieve part of Rubber Fruit's ability in another way. 2. Moria took advantage of this and sneaked her shadow into Oz's shadow, then controlled Oz's shadow and changed the shape of the shadow. Through this, Lucas discovered that the capable person can let his own shadow infiltrate into the shadow of others, and develop the ability to control the actions of others. Shadow fruit is a good thing, except for the shadow gathering place, there are still many other great places. All of this depends on how the capable person develops. How Akin develops that is his business, Lucas can only give some suggestions at best. Akin glanced firmly at Lucas, then reached out and took out the shadow fruit from the box. After listening to Lucas's advice, he chose shadow fruit. Biting the fruit in one bite, Ah Jin's face changed, and the feeling irritated the thief. I heard that only by eating up the devil fruit can you gain the full power of the fruit. Lucas said with an evil taste. In fact, it was all nonsense, he was just teasing Ah Jin. But Ah Jin took this seriously, took another bite, bit the bullet, and swallowed the whole devil fruit. Lucas almost couldn't help laughing. Ah Jin looked up and tried to use his abilities. Okay, you have to eat devil fruit, and my suggestion is also said. Then it depends on your own development. Clear. After all, Lucas returned to his boat. Chapter 158,156. Ah Jin the new shadow fruit ability. Seeking monthly pass. Asking for subscription. Advertisement. Lucas and Akin separated, and his boat headed towards the thriller bark. A few days later, Lucas sat on the deck, holding a wine glass in one hand and a newspaper in the other. A big event was reported in the newspaper. Since the trio of Ah Jin, Shiroki, and Daz Bonus got together, they have made a name for themselves in West Blue. And Akin, just yesterday, he held a Death Sea contest. He declared that as long as the person who wins the game, he can get hundreds of millions of Baileys in prize money. At present, Akin and the others are calling for players, all of them are West Blue pirates and those from underground forces. Lucas folded the newspapers and put them aside, watching a huge thriller bark appear in the distance. In his perception, the only real living person on this island is Hogback. What's the matter? Lucas looked at thriller bark in front of him in confusion. What about Perona? Lucas has checked the information. Although Perona is small now, he has been adopted by Moria. Could it be that Perona started acting alone at such a young age? Lucas was puzzled, but it didn't matter, he could wait. Find a desert island with Monet, which is not too far from the thriller bark. After waiting for several days, Lucas did not wait for Perona to return. It's weird. Lucas looked at thriller bark in puzzlement. Lafitte was very witty, and this guy didn't tell Moria's death. Does Perona have Moria's life card? Lucas suddenly thought. Blue brew. At this moment, the phone worm in the cabin rang. Lucas walked in and picked up the phone worm. Tonight, the weather is just right, and the plan begins. Understand, come back now. Lucas put the microphone back, hung up, walked out of the boat room and finally took a pity at the thriller bark and turned the boat around. This afternoon, the Death Sea contest held by Akin officially started. Advertisement. Akin will give each contestant a permanent pointer with end point written on them, and those contestants will compete with each other for the prize money of hundreds of millions of Baileys. Only, the end is not the island where hundreds of millions of Baileys are hidden, but the marine branch. By the time they were halfway down, it was already at night, and the sea near the 133 branch was full of mist. When those guys are very close, they will find that they have already entered the trap. At this time, Lucas needed to go back. Although he promised not to take action as much as possible, he still had to sit in marine base to prevent any changes. The ship sailed at full speed, and after half a day, he returned to branch 133. Seeing the Marines in the branch preparing weapons, all excited, Lucas laughed. This branch has not experienced a decent battle for a long time. At this time, they are looking forward to an opportunity to eliminate a large number of pirates. Saying hello to the Marines, Lucas returned to the office. How is it? Lucas walked in and looked at Vice Admiral Kong Ming. This is the list of entries. Vice Admiral Kong Ming pushed a list to Lucas. The two underground power groups also participated. Lucas looked at the list in surprise. A Jin and the others just came to West Blue, they killed an underground leader, and the other two should use this opportunity to deal with a Jin and them. Kong Ming frowned and said. Isn't that better? It can better reflect the success of this plan. Lucas said with a smile. Can Ah Jin deal with so many people? Kong Ming asked curiously. Those two waves of underground forces participated in the competition only as a cover, and they went to kill Ah Jin. West Blue's underground forces have been hit continuously in the past few months. They can't find the so-called Usopp, and can only find Akin to get angry. Don't worry, Akin is enough. Lucas said confidently. Ah Jin ate the shadow fruit. Although it hadn't been developed for a long time, he believed that Ah Jin would not let him down. But one thing that makes him a pity is that Daz Bonus actually mixed up with Akin and became friends. There seems to be some changes in the killing of Dar's Bonus. Will Ah Jin kill each other? Lucas's original idea was to use the Death Sea race to attract Daz Bonus, and then let the opponent die in the siege. But Ah Jin became friends with each other, something he hadn't thought of before coming to West Blue. Advertisement. Afternoon. Several ships left the island, passed through the middle of Uzumaki, and sailed away. And behind these ships, there are a large number of ships sailing quickly. A large number of ships were crowded and sailed forward. Some ships were knocked off course by large ships and were caught by Uzumaki. Some ships fired shells at the pirate ship on the opposite side, sinking their opponents. The navigator on each ship, holding a permanent pointer in his hand, sailed towards the island where hundreds of millions of Baileys were hidden. Ah Jin has made a name for himself in West Blue these days, and the opponent has looted all the money of an underground power boss, so these players trust each other very much. Some people are racing against the hundreds of millions of Baileys, and some people hope to get the affirmation of Akin and get on the other side's boat. Unlike these excited players, there are two boats on the island that are parked on the shore, motionless. They watched the players leave the island, looked at each other, picked up guns and swords one by one, got off the boat, and ran in the direction of Ah Jin. These are people from the two underground forces of West Blue. In the past few days, multiple underground forces in West Blue have been devastated successively. In the face of challenges, these remaining underground forces are preparing to attack those who dare to challenge them. Ah Jin glanced at the people who rushed, and took Chengmu and Daz Bonus, turned and ran out of the town. Angrily shouted continuously behind him. The underground forces of West Blue are rampant. Someone once called the 5 major groups that rule the underground forces of West Blue as the 5 families of underground forces. One can imagine how serious the underground forces of West Blue are. But Capone Bej killed an underground power boss, and Lucas killed Capone Bej, the emerging underground power boss. Ah Jin led people to destroy another underground force. In the past few days, West Blue left the last few of the 5 underground forces. Of course, these people have to take the easiest to find Ah Jin to prove that West Blue is still theirs. Ah Jin stood outside the town, watching the people chasing them round and round. Click. A gun was aimed at them, but the Akin and the 3 were not afraid at all. If this is the strength of West Blue's underground forces, then he feels a little disappointed. The strength is not very good. Ah Jin disappeared in the same place instantly, using the Shadow's ability, swapping positions with the Shadow, came to one person's back, and hit the other person with a punch. Chapter 159,157. Surrounded. Trap. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Although it didn't take long for Agent Master to shadow fruit ability, he still knew some simple usages. The weapon covered the armed color, and a Jin directly picked up the weapon and killed the guy directly. Then the weapon rounded up and smashed it at the surrounding guys. The people in a circle were thrown into the air directly by him. Cheng Mu picked up his weapon and slapped at the people around him. Daz Bonus used his abilities, his arms turned into blades, and he kept slashing at the people around him. He tried many times with Akin, played a lot more, and gradually became friends. Ah Jin is in trouble, he will not stand idly by. However, Daz Bonus looked at Ah Jin in surprise. How did he suddenly come behind that person? Daz Bonus slashed his arms continuously and quickly, and the weapons of the underground forces were directly cut off by him, and Daz Bonus kicked it out. The legs turned into blades directly kicked an enemy through with a knife. Although the 3 of them were surrounded by a large number of people, the hearts of those who killed them were terrified. Especially Akin and Daz Bonus, these two are simply outrageous. On the roof at the edge of the town, a sniper was lying on the roof, aiming at Akin with a gun. Just about to shoot, a Shadow slowly came to him. Akin exchanged positions with Shadow, and instantly came behind the sniper, punched the sniper on the head, the sniper snorted and lost his vitality. Agent instantly exchanged positions with the Shadow and returned to Chengmu and Daz Bonus. I've done investigations on these guys. They don't have fruit-powered people. Daz Bonus said, leaning on Akin's back. Is it because of the number of people? Ah Jin looked at Daz Bonus unexpectedly. Daz Bonus understood Ah Jin's puzzlement. Indeed, they just want to deal with us because of the number of people. Although there were only 2 people from the underground power groups on the 2 sides, many of their people were hidden in the town. When these guys were in trouble, they killed the pirates Ah Jin and the others recruited. Relying on the number advantage, these people want to kill 3 people. Daz Bonus laughed helplessly. There are so many people that sometimes it may not be useful. He is exactly like a killing machine, his body is full of weapons, his limbs can be turned into sharp blades at any time, killing enemies one by one. Advertisement. And Agent used the Shadow and Shadow Fruit's ability to constantly exchange positions with the Shadow and shuttle between these people. The armed agent, with the extremely fast speed, didn't take long for these guys to be killed in a panic. These people didn't discover why Akin could move fast, but Daz Bonus found the reason. Jin and Shadow exchanged positions, came in front of an underground power leader, directly swiped his weapon and killed the opponent. And Daz Bonus discovered that the other party had just exchanged positions with a somewhat hidden Shadow. After observing for a long time, Daz Bonus finally discovered this. So familiar. Daz Bonus suddenly thought of someone, Shichibukai Moria. This is the power of Shadow Fruit. It was getting late, and the three of them looked at the corpses everywhere, and they finally killed all those who attacked them. Above the sea, the ships of pirates and those of the underground forces sailed fast, separated from each other, watching their opponents vigilantly. After such a long game, they used various methods to kill or eliminate many opponents. In accordance with the direction of the permanent pointer, they sailed into the mist one by one. Originally, there were 28 pirate ships and 22 underground forces in the competition. Now there are only 20 ships left. Among them are pirates and people from underground forces. It's a dense fog. On a pirate ship, the captain of the yellow-beard pirate was holding the railing, unable to see the surroundings at all, and even the other ships nearby. It was gradually raining in the sky, but in this way, the mist did not clear. Ships sailed to the front quickly. Under the temptation of hundreds of millions of Baileys, they couldn't care about so much, and they just wanted to get to the island where hundreds of millions of Baileys were hidden. After sailing for a while, the surrounding fog gradually faded. The people in these pirate boats saw each other again. Although the fog had cleared, their mutual assault was about to begin again. A pirate ship quickly leaned towards the other pirate ship. Their shells had already been exhausted, and they could only kill their rivals in close combat by the ship. Boom boom boom. The pirate ship on the opposite side shot out the remaining 3 shells. A cannonball missed and hit the sea with huge waves. Advertisement. The next 2 shells hit the bottom of the ship and shot a big hole. Another shell directly penetrated the main mast, and the pirate ship quickly tilted and sank under the sea. Fortunately, the pirate ship on the opposite side had not had time to rejoice. The people on the pirate ship in the distance squatted desperately on the deck, making a desperate voice. What's the matter? The yellow-beard pirate turned around and looked at him puzzledly. An island in front of him was stunned. Marine base. What's the situation? The captains looked at the permanent pointer in the hands of the navigator in confusion. Some people suddenly discovered that there was something under the line of the permanent pointer. Open the sign. The innermost part says, West Blue 133 Marine Branch. Marine Branch. The captain of the yellow-beard pirate looked up. The outer wall of the Marine Branch on the opposite side was densely packed with cannons. One cannon aimed at them. There was a sudden bang, and the shells were shot out quickly. Even if these people wanted to run, it was too late. Because what flew in the sky was not ordinary artillery shells, but buggy shells. Since Lucas came here and asked him to recover his military expenses, he contacted the Marine headquarters and allowed the 133 branch to receive a large number of cannons and buggy shells. Money is not a problem. After all, the money of the West Blue underground power tycoon that Akin killed will sooner or later belong to them. Buggy bullets flew into the sky, arcing and roaring toward the ships. Boom boom boom. Pirate ships were hit one after another, and the buggy bomb exploded strongly, engulfing the ships. The pirate boats anxiously wanted to turn around and escape, but they were all here, where they could easily run away. The explosion sounded endlessly and entered the trap. Those people who usually escaped quickly and were difficult to catch all died in the explosion of the buggy bomb. A ship was destroyed and disappeared on the sea. There was no one who could block the buggy bullets. Standing in the mountain facility, Lucas finally breathed a sigh of relief looking at the sunken pirate ship outside. The cooperation with Kong Ming Vice Admiral further proves the role of buggy bombs. Kong Ming learned the armament hockey skills of Vice Admiral, and it's time for him to return to Marineford. Chapter 160,158. Jin, kill him. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. A pirate ship was destroyed by buggy bombs, and disappeared as the surging waves beat. Lucas glanced at the sea and turned to leave. The next day, after dealing with the Marine base, Lucas took Monet out of the Marine base and headed to the Thriller bark. Arriving at Thriller bark, there is still only Hogback on this ship. Lucas beat Hakubik before the other party told him. It turned out that on the night Moria died, Perona's life card burned out of Moria. Realizing that Moria was dead, Perona left here. As for where he went, Hakubik didn't know. I've said what I should say, you let me go. Hakubik looked at Lucas in fear. As a famous doctor, he became an accomplice with the pirate. Do you know what's wrong with Hakubik? Lucas lifted Hakubik up and stared at him. I know my mistake. Hakubik nodded and said. Moria is dead, Perona is gone, now he has only one man left, no fighting power, what else can he do except admit his mistakes? He didn't want to be killed. Snapped. Lucas took out the handcuffs and directly handcuffed Hakubik and kicked Hakubik's asterisk. Go to jail. Hakubik looked at Lucas dumbfounded. What if he does not admit his mistake? He escorted Hakubik all the way to the edge of Thriller bark, boarded his own boat, and left here. Monet led Hakubik into the cabin and watched him. And Lucas looked at the thriller bark behind him helplessly. In fact, he was very satisfied with the fruit of a shadow. Just thinking of Perona who had run away, there are some small unwillingnesses. It would be great if you could get the fruits of Perona. Of course, it would be nice to grab your opponent and try to be your own while still young. The ship sailed slowly and headed towards the marine base. In fact, when he came to West Blue this time, the main reason for him was to learn Kong Ming Vice Admiral's armed S*X skills, and he agreed to come. Then, by the way, a few people from West Blue started the plan between them. Advertisement. Lucas wasn't really interested. He sees his position very clearly, nothing more than constantly improving his strength, and then training some of his own people, specifically looking for talented children to train. He has never considered himself a wise man. At best, you can be clever and do something with the advantage of knowing the plot. This is a world in which strength determines the future. As long as strength is strong enough, many things can be changed. The ship sailed for some distance, and a pirate ship appeared in the distance. Akin, Shiromu, and Bonus were on this pirate ship, and a man with wings on his back was constantly entangled with the three. Jin and their mission have been completed and they can go back anytime. It's just that this man named Lafitte stared at him for some reason. Interesting and interesting. Lafitte smiled excitedly as he watched Akin quickly dodge his attack. Jin's devil fruit ability is too familiar. Isn't this Moria's shadow fruit? As Lafitte tested Akin, he connected Akin and Lucas together. It turns out that Akin is in the same group with Lucas. Lafitte looked at the castle wood again. This person is probably also marine. Another bounty hunter named Bonus, who knows nothing. Bonus, you were deceived by the two of them, don't you understand? Lafitte smiled at the man with the blades turned into his limbs, and said with a smile. What are you talking about? I don't understand at all. Bonus snorted coldly, and the blade of his left arm turned quickly towards Kafit. Lafitte didn't resist, backed up, and then flew up again away from a few people. Look at the ship opposite, isn't that Lucas Rear Admiral? Lafitte said with a smile while flying in the air. Bonus turned to look, and a bearded man greeted them on a ship in the distance. Don't be kidding, as far as I know, that Lucas Rear Admiral is under 20. Where is the bearded man? Bonus turned and looked at Lafitte. This man was full of nonsense and dared to provoke him in the relationship between friends. He was right. At this moment, a voice came from behind Bonus. Lucas sat on the railing behind Bonus and said with a smile. What? Bonus turned to look at Lucas warily, and stopped in front of his friend Akin. The person behind him is really the Lucas Rear Admiral. Advertisement. Bonus looked at Lucas with suspicion. Lucas took off his sunglasses and his beard. All the disguise was taken off, and Lucas revealed his original face. Bonus was shocked, and Lafitte looked at Bonus' expression, and said to his heart that this degree of disguise is actually invisible to anyone. No, it's impossible. Although Bonus recognized Lucas, he still didn't believe that the good friend who had been with him for so many days turned out to be marine. This is true, I'm sorry. Akin and Shiromu walked out from behind Bonus and stood in front of Lucas. We are still friends. Akin looked at Bonus, then at Lucas. Rear Admiral, Bonus is not a pirate, let's go. When he was on the assassination mission, he killed several civilians by mistake. Lucas patted Akin on the shoulder. Kill him. Quote exclamation mark quote. Jin looked at his friend, looked at the officer, and hesitated. Lucas's mission is his goal, and Akin will always follow Lucas faithfully to perform his mission. It's just that Akin has a lot of love and righteousness. He, who has already become friends with Bonus, does not want to hurt Bonus. He is a friend on one side, and his most respected superior on the other. Akin was caught in a dilemma. Lucas looked at Akin and asked what kind of decision he would make. You don't kill him, I'll come. Lucas said. He was about to do it. Wait a minute, X2. Akin and Lafitte shouted at the same time. Lucas didn't pay attention to Akin, but looked at Lafitte suspiciously. Lafitte is not afraid that Lucas will kill him. If I kill him, would you let me join your warship? Lafitte said with a smile. Who says that people who are expelled from the country can't join Marine? Lafitte thinks that as long as this person is willing to accept him, he is willing to follow each other. As for his dissatisfaction with his original country. Dissatisfied with your reasoning with Lucas's sword, dissatisfied with your reasoning with Sakazuki's fist. Good. Chapter 161,159. Undercover. Wanokuni. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Hearing Lucas's promise, Lafitte excitedly drew the rapier from the crutch and stabbed it at Bonus. Dealing with Bonus is very simple. As long as the opponent hypnosis faces his attack, he will fall into danger. Bonus had already hit Lafitte's hypnosis, and stood there blankly, and Lafitte's longsword was about to hit him. Lucas looked at Akin with interest. How would Akin react? Monet landed on the deck beside Lucas, looking at him helplessly. Bad taste. Ajin's body exchanged positions with a shadow, and he arrived in front of Bonus in an instant, waved his weapon to block Rafit's rapier. Do you want to betray Lucas Rear Admiral? Lafitte said with a smile. He is very interested in a young and promising Marine like Lucas. Lafitte has not yet met Blackbeard. He thinks that if he follows him to become Marine, it might be a good choice. Lucas has such a strong ability at a young age, becoming Rear Admiral, and his future is limitless. The other party is Sakazuki's adopted son, so there is nothing to say about the pirate's cruelty. Lafitte suddenly wanted to try to join the other party. However, Jin destroyed his plan. How about imprisoning him in Impel Down? Akin forced Lafitte back and turned to look at Lucas. Not very good. Kill him. Do you want to disobey the order? Lucas said coldly. He can understand Jin's love and justice, but if he dares to resist his orders because he is just a friend who has known him for a few days, then his views on Jin will change a lot in the future. Understood. Akin took a deep breath, smashed his weapon at Daz Bonus. Snapped. Lucas suddenly grabbed Akin's weapon and stopped him. I changed my mind and won't kill him first, but it's up to him whether the other party can survive or not. Lucas finished speaking and looked at Lafitte. Unlock his hypnosis. Good. Lafitte nodded, and the rapier was inserted back into the cane. The cane swung in front of Daz Bonus for a while, and Daz Bonus became sober. Freed from the illusion of hypnosis, Daz Bonus stared at Lafitte angrily, his arms turned into blades, and slashed directly at Lafitte. Advertisement. Pop. Lucas grabbed the two blades of Daz Bonus with both hands, and then kicked him on Daz Bonus's body. The arm-covered feet kicked Daz Bonus directly, and he knocked over the wooden box and snorted. There is obviously a footprint on Daz Bonus' chest. If it weren't for the special nature brought by Devil Fruit, he would have died a long time ago. Akin quickly helped Daz Bonus up, facing his angry friend, and turned his head away. The military only has training and training all day long. In addition to training, Akin himself is very taciturn. Except for Lucas, few people are willing to talk to him, a cold-faced guy. Akin had very few friends in the military. During the time he met Daz Bonus, apart from frequent fights, most of the time was chatting. It is rare for him to find a friend who can chat. However, in fact, at the beginning, Akinpo Daz Bonus was still in his own consideration. Although Daz Bonus killed ordinary people, it was said to be a manslaughter. He felt that the other party still had room for salvation. After all, such a strong person can also bring some help to Marine. I have one thing here, if you are willing to do it, I will not pursue it. Lucas said. After Daz Bonus listened, he glanced at Akin. They only knew friends for a while, and Jin actually pleaded for himself. Let's talk. As long as I can do it, I can agree. Daz Bonus looked at Lucas and said, since Akin regards him as his best friend, he won't let his friends look down upon him. Own. He has made such a friend. You have to think about it. If you refuse me now, you can die a little bit easier. You promised me. If it fails, you may face life better than death. Lucas said with a smile. Let's talk about it, Daz Bonus said. Jin regards him as his best friend, risking his superior's anger to save his life. Is he afraid of death? You are a pirate and led your people to become a supernova and arrive at an extremely fast speed. Lucas said. Daz Bonus listened carefully. After that, Daz Bonus thought for a while and agreed. Lucas took someone out of the sea. Advertisement. Only Daz Bonus and Lafitte were left on the pirate ship. I'm following you. Lafitte wanted to cry without tears. He originally planned to try to be Lucas's subordinate, but the other party didn't want him at all. But when Lafitte watched Lucas didn't drive him away and asked him to listen to the bold plan, he understood that the other party had other arrangements for him. I don't need you. Daz Bonus shouted violently with an unhappy expression. Then I will follow you. After all, if I leave you and listen to such a bold plan, I will be killed by that one. Lafitte said with a wry smile. It was obvious that the other party wanted him to follow Daz Bonus. Daz Bonus glared at Lafitte and turned to the rudder. The pirate ship changed direction, and Daz Bonus's ship sailed away. Lucas asked him to become a pirate, gain a reputation, and come to New World Wano Kuni as a supernova to challenge Kaido. After being defeated by Kaido, Daz Bonus will become Kaido's subordinate. In the future, he will play the role of a pirate until Lucas arrives. Although this plan is very scary, Daz Bonus thought of a friend like Jin, and even dared to save his life at the risk of angering his superiors. He felt that this friend was made. Lafitte sat aside with a wry smile, and pointed the way to Daz Bonus. To be honest, he really shouldn't be here today. He became interested in Lucas for a while, and he was in bad luck. Listen to that plan, and he will be killed on the spot if he is not involved. And Lucas's point is also very obvious. Undercover is a troublesome thing. With a smart person like Lafitte, his undercover will be very safe. Lafitte has never played with Lucas, but he also has an understanding of the opponent's strength. If he chose to run just now, he would definitely be killed. Of course, Lafitte glanced at Daz Bonus. Lucas chose the two of them, and there should be reasons why they didn't trust either. However, Lucas said when he left that they would get paid by each other as long as he killed Kaido after many years. Nor will it face the threat of Marine. Chapter 160 2160. The Rebellious Colonel. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Lucas left here with Akin and returned to the 133 Marine branch within the next month. People from the 133 Marine branch used buggy bombs to wipe out more than a dozen pirate groups. They sent out undercover agents to mix some of the pirates' food with firewood and waste mushrooms. As a result, many members of the pirate group were captured alive. Lucas and Kong Ming Vice Admiral then left West Blue. Grand Line, a warship moved slowly. Lucas sat in the captain's room, and Vice Admiral Kong Ming watched the information about the pirates that the 133 branch had dealt with without them. Obviously, there are strategic materials such as buggy bombs and firewood waste mushrooms. Even ordinary Marines are much better than before against those pirates. The current output of buggy bombs and waste firewood mushrooms is not enough for all Marines to use. Buggy bullets are especially important. Such weapons are very important. Once they fall into the hands of Marine, who is in trouble with the pirates, the buggy bullets are at risk of outflow. Therefore, they are still very cautious about providing buggy bombs. There must be other 3 Cs like West Blue Marine who are corrupt and greedy Marine. Vice Admiral Kong Ming said solemnly. Yes, but this kind of thing depends on how the upper management handles it. Lucas said helplessly. He is just a small rear admiral. To improve his strength, and to deal with the pirates is already very tired. It is impossible to run around the world to catch the fallen guy. Report. Please come in. Lucas and Vice Admiral Kong Ming looked at the door together, and a Marine came in. Kong Ming Vice Admiral, Lucas Rear Admiral, we found a pirate ship on the island ahead. They are burning and looting. Full speed ahead. After Lucas gave the order, the Marine hurriedly went to greet the other Marines, took up the weapon, and prepared to fight. Lucas glanced at Vice Admiral Kong Ming, picked up the knife, and ran out directly. When I came to the bow of the warship, I looked at the island in the distance. It was very far away, but I could vaguely see the fire on the island town. Lucas stepped on the moonwalk and rushed directly. Monet hurriedly followed, turning into a blizzard, and quickly caught up. Murloc Marines jumped directly into the water, swimming much faster than warships. Lucas stepped on the moonwalk and rushed into the air, gradually screaming in his ears. In the era of the great pirates, such tragedies continued to be staged all over the sea. Advertisement. Powerful pirates can act recklessly, burn, kill, and looting. Although there are indeed a small number of idiot pirates who are not simple pirates, they will not burn, kill, or loot. But this is the background. The pirate is still synonymous with evil. The closer he gets to the island, the more Lucas can hear the arrogant laughter of the island thief and the tragic and desperate cry of ordinary people. A house was ignited and collapsed suddenly, and the flames reflected on the pool of blood, which was extremely dazzling. Lucas rushed into the town, raised the knife in his hand, and a pirate's head rose directly into the sky, with blood sprinkled on the ground. Using the shaver, Lucas quickly shuttled between the pirates, constantly branching the pirates to their heads. The light and blood tore through the powerless despair of this town, and people looked at the pirates who were killed in surprise. They are saved. Lucas looked at the pirates who surrounded him with guns. Although facing his attack, it is also vulnerable, but there are some differences with ordinary pirates. Compared with ordinary pirates, these pirates are well trained and react in time, and they want to kill Lucas. In Lucas's perception, a figure disappeared instantly and rushed towards him. Shave. Will the pirate use shave? Although there are indeed some pirates who have learned the 6 forms by playing against Marine or CP members. But the talents of these people are very good. Otherwise, it is impossible to comprehend the 6 forms just by playing with Marine a few times. There is no special person to guide, but stealing is a technical job that is very talented in understanding. Lucas had already prepared, turned around and slashed behind him. The man covered his arms with his palms and grabbed the long knife in Lucas's hand. Let go. Don't let go. The visitor sneered and looked at Lucas mockingly. Are you Marine? Lucas looked at the person in front of him in surprise. He had met this man at Marineford before. Not anymore. Lucas. Rear Admiral. Nishizawa sneered, then kicked Lucas. Lucas screamed and kicked up unwillingly. 2 big feet covered with armed colors were facing each other, and Nishizawa was kicked out by Lucas directly. Advertisement. Lucas, who has gained power, is too easy to deal with the former colonel. Boom. Nishizawa rammed into a burning hut, and as he rammed into it, the hut collapsed, and the burning wooden planks crushed the opponent under the ruins. Lucas recalled the information of this Marine. Nishizawa was originally a colonel. Because when dealing with pirates, regardless of the pirates and civilians, they will kill them indiscriminately. This guy happened to be bumped into by a passing Colonel Marine, who himself hated the existence of this extreme type of Marine. The opponent is going to take Nishizawa to court. Nishizawa killed the opponent and led a small number of subordinates to defect. And those subordinates who did not want to defect were all killed by him. The opponent's strength is indeed very good, Grandmaster 6 styles, has a good 2-color hockey, and also has a good reaction ability. With his fighting ability, the general level is a matter of time. Unfortunately, his character is not good. Sakazuki often deals with pirates. If the civilians really have nothing to do with the pirates and there is no clear order from the superior, he will not attack the civilians. According to his understanding, Ohara actually had instructions secretly from the upper level. And this Colonel Nishizawa was different. He didn't care about 3 or 71. He stepped forward to kill indiscriminately. As long as he could kill the pirate, it didn't matter if he could wash the ground with shells. This guy can't be called a hawk, he can only be called a lunatic. Boom. The fire was lifted off, Nishizawa stood up, covered in armed color, and looked at Lucas with a sneer. Lucas put the knife away. Nishizawa mocked. Why, are you scared, Lucas Rear Admiral? Lucas directly held the marine cloak behind his hand and pointed to the 2 words on the cloak. This is justice. Combination of armed color and cloak, Kong Ming Vice Admiral's armed color technique is easy to use. It can be used at any time, and the shape of the weapon can be changed at will. It can be used with a cloak. It can also be fireproof and powerful. The cloak instantly turned into a spear, continuously extending its length, rushing towards Colonel Nishizawa. This is force. Nishizawa instantly disappeared with a shave, and he appeared in the distance, watching Lucas poke a hole in the ground in shock. What is this ability? After Nishizawa finished speaking, he watched the long spear shot at him again, and hurriedly avoided. Chapter 163161. Appointment from the top. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Lucas did not answer, and the spear in his hand constantly changed shape at will, spurring at Nishizawa. Nishizawa dodged back and forth, dodged one after another, and was constantly being pierced with holes in the ground. Monet rushed over and looked at the small town where the fire was burning. She used her abilities, and the snow all over the sky rushed towards the town, constantly extinguishing the fire. Under the influence of her ability, the fire was extinguished, and the scorching sensation around people disappeared. The Marines rushed into the town and began to encircle the pirates. These pirates were originally Marine who followed Colonel Nishizawa, after these days of pirate life. They are accustomed to burning, killing and looting, enjoying the comfortable days brought by the looted wealth, and they have long been unable to look back. Facing the encirclement and suppression of their former colleagues, they savagely raised their swords and axes, and some raised their guns and aimed at the opposite Marine. Only by killing Marine can they continue to live the life of a Shanghai thief, continue to looting and taking women wantonly. These people, as early as when they defected with Colonel Nishizawa, they threw away the last bottom line in their hearts. Nishizawa escaped the stabbing with a spear, glanced at the men who had been fighting with Marine, and sneered. What Lucas Rear Admiral? In his view, the other party is just some strength. He became Rear Admiral at a young age, and he does not have an adoptive father like Sakazuki as his backer. At the beginning, he was so hard to hunt down the pirates, but in the end, the upper echelons didn't intend to promote him. Nishizawa didn't think he had done anything wrong, he only thought that he had no background, and he was unable to get promoted. Lucas used the shave to come to Nishizawa's back, waved his spear, and stabbed Nishizawa's heart. Nishizawa moved at high speed with the shaver, disappeared instantly, appeared behind Lucas, and his hand covered with arms, master fisted against Lucas fiercely. Only, Lucas's speed far exceeded his expectations. Lucas turned around and kicked Nishizawa's stomach with a kick. Nishizawa couldn't even react, and he flew out. The spear in Lucas's hand changed its shape, extended its length, and quickly pierced Nishizawa's heart. Nishizawa's heart was covered with armed color to block Lucas's attack. Kang! The spear collided with Nishizawa's heart, and although it did not pierce, it still shook Nishizawa's blood. Lucas came to the back of Nishizawa in an instant with the growth rate full, and shook his palm at Nishizawa. The armed color was released, forming a shock wave rushing towards Nishizawa's back. Advertisement. Nishizawa's back was covered with armed color, trying to block. The shock wave from the armed color directly blasted past, and Nishizawa's whole body was hit hard, his head was blank, and he lost consciousness. Lucas's spear pierced Nishizawa's limbs one after another, and Nishizawa fell to the ground. The long spear in Lucas's hand lost the support of the armed color, lost its hard characteristics, and turned into a white cloak again, shaking constantly as the sea breeze howled. Kong Ming's Vice Admiral's trick is good, not only can the cloak or fan be used as a weapon, but it is not bad. Putting on the cloak again, Lucas walked over. Nishizawa was already awakened by the pain. He was sweating profusely and looked at the man who walked to look down on him in horror. With all his limbs pierced, he didn't have the ability to escape at all. Just as Nishizawa was about to scream, his face suddenly changed, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Lucas's just now, but he was seriously injured. Everyone, this is the captain of this pirate group. You can spread any grievances on him. Lucas shouted while watching the civilians hiding in the distance. Nishizawa heard Lucas's words and quickly looked at those who looked at him fearfully. Ha ha ha, they didn't have the guts to kill me. Nishizawa looked at Lucas arrogantly and laughed happily. Lucas kicked Nishizawa's crotch, and the painful guy screamed. I have revenge to avenge everyone. I interrupted his limbs. What's terrible? Lucas walked away, and the people hiding in the distance picked up the stones on the ground and the wood. Great. One after another walked up and surrounded Nishizawa. Hey, I'm a marine trader, shouldn't you take me away and imprison me and impel down? It's okay to go to court. No, Nishizawa yelled to Lucas constantly begging, but in the end he was surrounded and beaten by people. Sticks, stones, and people's fists and feet fell on Nishizawa's body one after another. Screams kept coming, and Lucas walked towards his man. The money they took is here. Monet pointed to a big box and said to Lucas. Return these to the people in the town, Lucas said. Yes, Monet nodded and agreed. Should he be taken to court and impelled down? A marine asked puzzledly at this time. What are you going to do in jail? This kind of scourge, just kill. Lucas said. Besides, this guy is not demon fruit power, living a waste of air, dead is the best way to deal with it. Advertisement. The townspeople kept beating Nishizawa again and again, listening to the screams. Lucas and the others sat and watched while eating senbei. No sound. Be dead. Then we should go too. Good. Lucas stood up and pushed aside the people who were still besieging Nishizawa with hatred. When he came in the middle, people retreated. Lucas came to Nishizawa, knelt down and sniffed. Nishizawa was indeed dead, and he directly handed Nishizawa to a marine to drag him away. After setting Nishizawa and his pirates on fire together, they should leave. As the sun sets, on the beach, Nishizawa and his men have been thrown into the fire for a long time, and now only a handful of ashes are left. Lucas nodded in satisfaction, as it should be for the enemy. Regardless of whether he is really dead or fake death, throw it into the fire, and fake death will have to be real death. Not only prevents the occurrence of the plague, but also has the effect of making up the knife. As the warship slowly moved away from the shore, Lucas looked at the villagers on the shore waving at them with excitement, and turned back to the captain's room. The town is lucky. Lucas arrived in a timely manner. If they come here a little bit late, it can't be said that many people will die in the town. ... A few days later, Marine Headquarters, Marineford. Lucas came back for a day, but he hadn't stayed at home long before Sengoku called him over. G5 branch. Yes, the upper level decided to send you to the New World G5 Marine branch as the base chief. Go back and prepare, Sengoku said with a smile. At a young age, he has the strength, comparable, with Katakuri. Such a young man is really rare. Quote. Lucas had no choice but to take his orders. Is the upper level command 5 elders? Why would they like him? Chapter 164,162. Take the post of G5 base leader. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Accepting Sengoku's appointment, Lucas left Sengoku's office and walked out. The G5 branch is the marine base in New World, originally the marine base where Wilgo was lurking. It's just that Virgo is cold, and the other party has no chance to get involved in G5. Lucas's original idea was to continue to spend a while at the headquarters, or to go to any branch in the 4 seas, to concentrate on practicing hockey, and to make his strength strong enough before going to New World. After all, facing a powerful opponent like Whitebeard, even Sakazuki was injured. He is not the opponent of those strong. But the sudden order, he was a little caught off guard. Let an underage, nothing, experience, and average Rear Admiral go to the marine base of New World as the base commander. It was indeed something he didn't expect. Although Lucas's ability is very pervert, his ability improvement also requires his own continuous efforts to improve little by little. He does not have the kind of simple and rude plug-in, and it is impossible to get a substantial increase in strength in a short period of time. Moreover, the position of base chief of New World Marine branch is likely to mean that he will be promoted to vice admiral. Sakazuki didn't want him to become vice admiral prematurely, and to fight the pirates in New World prematurely. After all, Lucas's actual strength and experience are still quite poor. Sengoku actually has the same view. After all, such a good seedling will allow him to grow up for a few years, and then he will be stronger, and it will not be too late to go to New World. Lucas walked on the road and greeted the passing marine from time to time. With this in mind, let a rear admiral be the head of the New World Marine branch. Will this kind of appointment be the top of the world government, 5 elders? Why do they stare at themselves? Do people think that they are a tool person who can be as obedient as Sakazuki and Sengoku? Back at the door of the house, as soon as he opened the courtyard door, a few little ghosts pounced on them. Meat. Luffy excitedly picked up the meat in Lucas's hand and ran in happily. Kid was holding Lucas's calf excitedly, and Sakazuki would come back to train them once in a while. But in comparison, they are closer to Lucas and Sakazuki. Brother, take us out to play for a while, it's been a long time. Kid shouted excitedly. Yeah, I think so too. Behind Kid, Kira nodded vigorously, half of his face blocked by hair. Brother Lucas, go back to the house quickly. I have prepared desserts and coffee before meals for you. Sanji's little head poked out from the kitchen window at this time and said with a smile to Lucas. He enjoys the time with his eldest brother very much. He can cook for his eldest brother. He will be very satisfied watching his eldest brother finish all the food he has cooked. Advertisement. Of course, when he is happiest every day, he shows his improved foot skills to his elder brother. Oh, entering the house, Lucas sat at the table, eating dessert and drinking coffee. How are you training these days? Lucas asked. We both train very hard, looking forward to the moment when I can help big brother. Baby 5 sat next to Lucas and said softly. Luffy lay on the table weakly, staring in the direction of the kitchen pitifully. Sanji is now cooking meat, so greedy. He suddenly got up and stared at Lucas. Brother Lucas, we are already very strong, when will you let us board your warship? Luffy is already desperate for the idea of becoming a pirate. Under Sakazuki's captivity, he can't be a free pirate at all. But Luffy won't just give up like this. Even if he can't be a free pirate, he can become a free marine. After all, big brother Lucas has been here and there for a while since he joined the army. I can also take a break at Marineford as a practice opportunity. This is the free marine, okay. No other marine has this treatment. Luffy suddenly felt that getting on Lucas's ship and becoming a free marine might not be an option. Oh, Lucas almost couldn't help laughing. He looked at Luffy's serious appearance, and couldn't help but laugh. How strong are you? Quote. Luffy thought for a while, it was down. If you have the ability to persuade Lucas to allow them to board a warship, Luffy does not have this ability. And he is not good at lying. The other children also wanted to board Lucas's warships, but they were very distressed by the same problem, that is, they were absolutely incapable of boarding Lucas's warships. And neither Sakazuki, Lucas, nor other marines would allow a group of kiddies to join the army. Advertisement. Whether they adore Lucas at their age, or for other reasons, joining the army is impossible. Although the environment in the Great Pirate era was atrocious, they were not so bad as to let little kids join the army. Children of this age should train according to the appropriate amount during the day, and they can play as much as they want during the rest of the time. Don't tell me these unrealistic ideas. I will give you a task before I leave. How about a big meal tomorrow? Lucas smiled and looked at several people. Okay. Luffy jumped up excitedly and had a big meal. It's so tempting. The other little ghosts looked at this idiot speechlessly, and bought you for a meal. Squeak. The door opened and Sakazuki walked in. He had just returned from New World a few days ago. In fact, he wanted to stay in the marine base of New World for a long time, but he did not expect Lucas to be sent to the G5 branch of New World. This kind of thing, of course, will communicate with Sakazuki, because he is Lucas's immediate boss. Yo, you're back. It's a pity that I'm leaving in a few days, Lucas smiled at Sakazuki. It's nothing, just pay attention. Sakazuki nodded, took the drink from Koala, and took a sip. I have 2 subordinates for you, hoping to help you in the future. Sakazuki looked at Lucas, and then told Lucas the 2 students of Zephyr. So it was them. Lucas was surprised when he heard the 2 names Sakazuki said. Sakazuki is acting fast. He has just been appointed to the New World G5 Marine Branch as the base chief. Sakazuki has already contacted Zephyr. Let Ain and Bins, who were supposed to board the Zephyr training ship next year, join the army ahead of schedule this year and board his warship. Lucas hadn't figured out a way to hook up the 2. Sakazuki had already helped him get in touch. Maybe he has an influence on Ain and Bins, and the 2 of them have a good opinion of him, so Sakazuki chooses to find those 2 to board his warship. Really? The top 10 moving adoptive fathers of pirates. Chapter 165,163. Buster Call, the average man. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. After dinner, Monet asked Monet to send the little girls away. Lucas and Sakazuki talked face to face for a long time before returning to his bedroom. As soon as he opened the bedroom door, he saw Sanji, Kid, and Kira. Sanji grabbed the towel and wiped the water droplets on his body. After a day of training, his body was slimy, and it was much more refreshing to take a bath. Hearing the opening of the door, Sanji quickly looked at big brother Lucas. He stretched out his hand and patted the bed under his butt. Come on, brother Lucas, just waiting for you. Happiness. Go to bed. Lucas took off his coat, revealing his strong muscles, walked over, took off his shoes, and lay on the bed. He closed his eyes and felt Sanji climbing on his back, enjoying Sanji's service. With bare feet, Sanji stepped on Lucas's back, stepping back and forth to help Lucas relax. Yes, foot therapy has improved, Lucas said with satisfaction. Quote. Sanji was silent. In fact, he wanted to say that his combat skills are still very strong. But when he was young, he didn't have much to watch in the fight. I like to step on the back every night, Lucas prefers. Kid and Kira drank a drink and looked at each other. Brother Lucas is full of strong muscles. Is Sanji's back step really useful? By the way, isn't it right? Lucas fell asleep. Nothing happened all night. Early in the morning of the second day, Lucas woke up early and looked at the little ghosts lying crookedly on the bed, put on his clothes carefully, and walked out of the house. At this time of the day, he would go out early to exercise. It's just that today, he has some surprises. Rubbing his eyes, Kid and Kira, who were still a little confused, were dragged out by Sanji. Sanji put on his clothes and looked at Lucas full of energy. Please take us to train hard together, we want to catch up with the big brother. Lucas looked at Sanji helplessly. Good guys, and watched Marineford at 4 o'clock in the morning, together. Squeak. In the next room, Sakazuki kicked the blank-looking Luffy out, then breathed out, closed the door and went back to sleep. Sanji helped Luffy with a bewildered look and looked at Lucas firmly. We all want to catch up with brother Lucas. Go back to sleep. Lucas patted the little guys on the heads nervously. Advertisement. He trains hard because he urgently needs to improve his strength. Some of these little kids have time to train. But Sanji was also anxious. They wanted to be recognized by the eldest brother earlier, and didn't want to be treated as a child by the eldest brother. But you guys are kiddies. Bang bang bang. Lucas gave several people a fist one by one. Go back to sleep. With this determination, isn't it good to use it for training during the daytime? Sanji walked back to the house with grievances and tears, and continued to sleep. Lucas walked out and looked at home helplessly. He doesn't care what Sakazuki thinks, but now they don't need these children. Wouldn't it be nice to sleep longer? If he hadn't done too much, he would also like to sleep more now. As the ranks get higher and higher, and as the positions get higher and higher, even if you don't care about marine affairs, you will waste part of your energy. If he wants not to lose the speed of strength improvement, he needs to spend more time training than others. Just like someone said, I will practice desperately, and Lucas does the same. He will spend more time, doubling and doubling the effort, as long as he can get a strong strength, everything is worth it. The sky was faintly bright, and on the training ground, a lone figure was constantly practicing kendo. In the distance, Monet walked slowly, looking at the back of this effort, sighing in his heart, this is the person she likes. Monet did not interrupt Lucas's exercise, but walked far away and carried out his own exercise. Accompanying is the best way of expression she thinks of. As he got along with Lucas longer and longer, Monet knew more about him. Sometimes this man is very gentle, sometimes very responsible. Knowing more and more, Monet gradually changed from the like that inspired the admiration of Lucas from the beginning, and gradually transformed into a true liking for this man and falling in love with this man. Only, Steel straight man. After all, Monet was alone with unrequited love. Lucas glanced at Monet and said nothing. After all, Monet is strong, and he will also be relieved. After training for a while, Akin dragged Buggy, who wanted to sleep for a while, and walked out and trained with them. Then several other subordinates of Lucas also came one after another. His subordinates really have to work harder than other Marines. Lucas glanced at Monet, and sighed. Monet. What's the matter? Monet looked at Lucas curiously. Advertisement. Was he moved by his training partner? Why are you so surprised? Have you learned the advanced use of armed color? Lucas said dissatisfiedly. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Monet can't stand it anymore, this idiot. Does he think everyone is like him? It took Monet a long time, but only barely learned the entanglement of armed colors. As for the external release and Kongming Vice Admiral's trick, no matter how carefully Lucas explains and teaches his experience, but I just can't learn it. Oh, Lucas looked up at the bright sky, put away the long knife, wiped off his sweat. Let's eat first, and talk about it after eating. The Marines who were training on the side also breathed a sigh of relief and ended the training. Lucas walked home, and Monet followed. At the entrance of the Grand Line, Twin Capes, a pirate boat docked on the shore. Lying on the recliner, Crocus looked at the pirates opposite, then continued to read his newspaper. With such excitement, he can see a lot of pirates who want to come to Grand Line to do something big. Basically every month, many pirates travel from all over the world through the canal of the Upside Down Mountain. When they come to the Grand Line, they either kill their lives or are swallowed by other big pirates. There is nothing worth noting. Days Bonus and Lafitte came to the shore and walked towards Crocus together. Excuse me. Crocus put the newspaper down and looked at the person coming. 10 minutes later, Lafitte listened to Crocus's speech, a little confused. When coming to Grand Line, there are 7 routes, and he still knows these basic knowledge. It's just that he got terrifying news from Crocus's mouth. That is the first island on one of the 7 routes. The place called Whiskey Peak was once bombed by a warship named Lucas Rear Admiral. And Lucas Rear Admiral's ability directly cleaned the island once. It's as horrible as Buster Call. Devil. Daz Bonus and the pirate crew behind Lafitte said in horror. Chapter 166,164. Why are there marine traders again? For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Daz Bonus and Lafitte looked at each other. It turns out that Lucas is so strong. His ability turned the very powerful buggy bomb directly into a Buster Call General Destruction class weapon. If they hadn't agreed to Lucas's request, Lafitte couldn't help thinking how terribly he and Daz Bonus would die. Daz Bonus looked at the guy who had been scared by Lucas in fear, and snorted coldly and restrained them. Although this person is indeed terrifying, Daz Bonus just marveled that Lucas's strength is too pervert. He is now doing things for the other side, and they will not be hunted down by the other side. Strictly speaking, they are undercover agents sent by Marine. Boarding with Lafitte and the crew, raising the sails, they continued to sail. Marineford in the afternoon. Lucas, Al Ain and Ben stood chatting on the warship, and the Marines were preparing for the voyage. He was already ready to go sailing, and after talking with the little brothers at home, he was ready to leave. During his absence, Sanji and the others would often follow his request and go to the orphanage built by him to provide funds to tease the adopted guys. Take the adopted children together for training, including those of Dellinger. Although it is impossible for him and Sakazuki to be by their side all the time, they don't have so much energy to take care of all the children. But there are Sanji, and Lucas believes they will help him take care of those little guys. He would occasionally take Sanji and the others to see those children, take care of them, and tell them stories. In Lucas's opinion, the young Marine is more susceptible to his influence than the old Marine. These children, who are younger and immature in thinking, are more susceptible to his influence. As long as he often trains them, when these children grow up, they are likely to become the group of people who are most loyal to him. In this Marine team with all kinds of misunderstandings about justice, the children who can get the transmission of his justice thoughts are definitely more trustworthy than the guys with strong independent ideas. Everything was ready, and the warship raised its sails and sailed forward. Lucas only saw that a large group of little ghosts ran from far away and waved at him. He smiled and waved with the children, and set sail again. Advertisement. The kid Luffy thinks that he is a freedom Marine, and can often play around on the grounds of sailing missions. To be honest, Lucas was speechless. In the more than a year since he became Marine, he took on various tasks and ran around. This is called freedom. This is called tired into a dog. But no matter what, in the short time he came back, many young Marines wanted to get on his ship. It seems that his influence in young Marines is still very strong. Ain and Ben stood beside Lucas, looking at Marineford, who was drifting away from them. The two would have boarded Teacher Zephyr's training ship next year, but it was quite unexpected that they boarded Lucas's warship ahead of schedule this year. They were pleasantly surprised that they could go to sea in advance to deal with the pirates, and they still went to New World. Surprisingly, the boss turned out to be Lucas. After all, they had been defeated by Lucas before, and they were defeated easily. The two still respect Lucas, the boss. After all, the other side is a powerful young man. Lucas looked at the sea, and there were rapid footsteps behind him. A Marine holding a phone worm standing behind Lucas, received notification of all naval headquarters contact. A Marine named Gaspard snatched the warships from the team and rebelled. Oh, Lucas looked at each other unexpectedly. What happened these 2 days? Counting this Gaspard, he is already the second Marine to rebel. Gaspard has some impressions. This is also a character in the theater version. This guy has chosen such a time to defect. Like the previous mutiny Marine, this Gaspard is not a good thing either. Soon after the rebellion, Gaspard will flee to an island, looting, burning, looting, and looting the island. By the way, take away the rare steamship, Saruman Snake, on the island. Lucas wondered, this kind of bad thing is actually not better than those Marines who are the Emperor of the Sky. Isn't it good to be a Marine who eats together and waits to receive gifts? Must betray, these guys are really confident in their own strength. Lucas turned on the increase in seeing and hearing, and his perception range instantly soared. In his perception, he found a warship that was escaping quickly. Advertisement. Catch the rebellious Gaspard first, and if you can catch him, I'll leave it to you too. Lucas looked at Ain and Binz behind him. Ain nodded. They had just gone to sea, and it was not bad to practice with the rebellious Gaspard. Under the guidance of Lucas, the warship sailed quickly, and it didn't take long before they intercepted Gaspard's warship. Gaspard saw Lucas's warship and was so frightened that he ordered the warship to turn around. He still had a great chance to get rid of the chasers behind him, but Lucas's warship was terrible. During the Marine battle, he had learned that Lucas's warships were the least provable existence. The military knows one thing, that is, a single buggy bomb can destroy a ship. Then the buggy bomb in Lucas's hand is really like a buggy call. That thing even Doflamingo was stunned. Gaspard deliberately picked a time, and when Lucas was gone, he took someone to grab the warship and ran away. Unfortunately, Lucas was able to find this guy as soon as he received the notice. Gaspard, quickly stop, otherwise we can only fire and sink you. Lucas shouted loudly, reaching into Gaspard's ears with a loud voice. Humph. Gaspard snorted in response. He turned to look at the men who defected with him. Don't pay attention to him, continue to escape. Although Gaspard knew that he could not do Lucas, he knew one thing very well, that is, if they did such a thing, they had no turning back. Being caught, facing them will end badly. Lucas is the Marine taught by Sakazuki. Although this person looks very kind on weekdays, anyone who knows Sakazuki's character understands that Lucas will be very ruthless in the face of a traitor. Fall into the hands of the other party, where can they be better? Boom, boom, boom. Buggy bullets flew out of the barrel, tracing an arc in the sky, increasing in number, and quickly bombarding the sea where Gaspard was located. Chapter 167,165. 3-year-old buggy, subscription. Monthly ticket, reward. Advertisement. The terrifying buggy bomb fell on the sea, and Gaspard breathed a sigh of relief, and quickly urged his subordinates to speed up. At this moment, the terrifying power of the buggy bomb passed by Lucas was revealed. The terrifying impact spread on the sea, shook up amazing waves, and the huge impact drove the sea, and the calm sea instantly turned into a rough and dangerous sea. Gaspard's feet were unstable, and the whole person was lifted off uncontrollably, and the warship he had stolen overturned in an instant. Gaspard fell into the water. He was demon fruit power. He fell into the sea and slowly sank weakly towards the sea. As Gaspard continued to sink, his surroundings became darker and darker, and the light above his head became farther and farther away. The longer he held his breath, the closer he felt to death. Gaspard's mouth kept bubbling, and he couldn't hold on anymore. I have occasionally heard of the horror of the Lucas warship, but he is neither a pirate nor Lucas's subordinates. Where can I personally see the real horror of the opposing warship? A face-to-face, not even a hit, but the terrifying shock wave has overturned a warship. Gaspard was unable to block the buggy that Lucas was able to increase. Such a result is also normal. On the warship, Ain and Binz looked embarrassed. They were still planning to take action, but before the official fight, Gaspard's warship was overturned. Gaspard himself fell into the water. The opponent is a capable person. There is not much difference between falling into the water and death. Is this over? Ain looked at Lucas with a speechless expression and said, yes, let us practice our hands. In the end, you just set off the opponent's warship, which is too much. Ahem. Lucas coughed awkwardly and waved his hand to let the Murloc Marine go down to the sea to fish for Gaspard. Zackley nodded, put on the seastone handcuffs, and jumped into the water. Lucas tried not to look at those two people. He didn't know much about Gaspard. Mainly it is too long, it is impossible to remember everything so clearly. He can remember the general situation of many characters in the plot, which is already very good. Usually he didn't pay much attention to the existence of Gaspard, and he didn't expect this guy to pick his feet. Originally, the last round of buggy bombs was used as a threat, but the rookie was unable to block this round of bombs. In the deep sea, Zachary the Murloc found Gaspard and swam over. Gaspard was almost suffocated, and finally saw someone coming. Surprised, he thought to himself that as long as he left the sea, he would catch this guy and threaten Lucas to let him go. Advertisement. Only. Zackley took a pair of seastone handcuffs directly from his waist, handcuffed Gaspard, and then dragged this guy up quickly. Wow. Two people rushed out on the water. Zachary, who knew how to do Murloc karate, was too easy to hit Gaspard with the current. An ocean current controlled by Zackley slammed Gaspard directly onto the deck of the warship. Lucas looked at Gaspard who was handcuffed, and felt the grieving eyes of the two men, and pulled Gaspard up. Zackley returned to the warship returned, and handed the rebellious Gaspard to Sakazuki, and Lucas set sail again. There is no need for him to say, Gaspard is in Sakazuki's hands, and what he will face will be a miserable ending. Escape immediately affects morale and military executions on the spot, and this kind of stealing warships and killing fellow mutineers has a greater impact. Above the sea, the wind blows the sails on the deck. Lucas took the coffee from Monet and sat in the sun to taste it. And Ain and Binns are now discussing with Lucas's men. Ah, what's the situation? Buggy looked dumbfounded. When Ain's hand touched him, his body became much younger. Ain's ability can bring people or things touched back to their state 12 years ago. Of course, 12 years is only her maximum limit. Buggy is 27 years old this year, 12 years back, and now he is in the state he was 15 years old. Yeah, you were handsome 12 years ago. Monet laughed and teased on one side. Lucas couldn't help laughing when he looked at Buggy, who was 12 years younger. Give up. Ain smiled at Buggy. Although Buggy can fall apart, she also has the ability to restrain each other. As long as you touch the opponent's body part, you can activate the abilities. The upper limit of her own control is 12 years, but if you touch Buggy's body again, how old is Buggy? Buggy kept moving backwards, glanced at Lucas in the distance, and swallowed. Although he himself wanted to admit defeat now, as a subordinate of Lucas, if he surrendered so quickly, his opponent is still a rookie. Will he still be valued by Lucas? Buggy shook his head, pretending to be calm. I won't admit defeat. Advertisement. Ain disappeared in an instant. In these days, she learned the 6 poses. Using shaving, the whole person moved at a high speed, and instantly came to Buggy's back. It's just that Buggy's long anticipated use of its ability in advance, the body splits and turns into many parts, with the feet on the ground running fast, other parts also quickly avoid Ain's clutches. He turned his head and glanced at Ain's evil smile, patted his palms, he wanted to stay away from this woman. Unfortunately, it was Lucas's order that he competed with Ain. If you really act with your heart, and if you give up so quickly, then he won't get confused. After all, Lucas has always been a very rigid person. Ain and Buggy are constantly playing the hunting game. One body keeps torn apart and avoids, and the other rushes up quickly, trying to touch the other's body. It should have been a serious competition, but the scene was once very funny. Buggy was about to rejoice that he had escaped the opponent's clutches, but unfortunate things happened. Ain stepped on one of Buggy's feet and stretched out her clutches to Buggy's feet. Hey, don't do it. Just as Buggy was about to confess his defeat, Ain activated his abilities. The moment she touched Buggy's feet, Buggy instantly became very small, her body shrank rapidly, becoming a 3-year-old kid. The 3-year-old Buggy was covered by Marine's cape, a small head was exposed, and Buggy stared at Ain angrily. Puff. Not only Lucas, but everyone on the ship couldn't help laughing. The 3-year-old Buggy seems pretty cute. Lucas came over and squeezed Buggy's tender little cheek. Oh, Kabuto is just one. Quote exclamation mark quote. Buggy looked at the laughing people shyly, and then stared at the stinky woman Ain angrily. Quickly change this uncle back. Ha ha ha. The warship caused a burst of laughter. Chapter 168,166. Lush Fruit vs Shadow Fruit. Please subscribe. Ask for monthly pass. Advertisement. Buggy was relieved of that state by Ain, restored to its original size, sitting on the railing on one side, drinking a drink, looking at Ain in the distance, a little angry. If it weren't for his carelessness, he wouldn't be hit. At least he thought so. Lucas smiled and glanced at Buggy, without saying much. In the middle of the deck of the warship, Binns and Akin were ready to compete. Akin looked at Binns, who was standing in front of him, dressed up in funny stature. As far as I know, lush fruits manipulate plants to speed up plant growth. There is no grass on the deck of this warship. How do you use your abilities? Quote. Wow. Binns smiled and threw a lot of seeds from Kabuto. With Lucas's start the competition, Binns turned on the Dance King mode. The elongated limbs continued to dance comically. As Binns' dancing frequency became faster and faster, the sprouts from the seeds broke out, and it didn't take long before they turned into huge plants and rushed towards Ajin. Ha ha ha. Lucas laughed. Binns wore a suit full of joy and matched that funny dancing posture. No matter how serious Binns' expression was, he looked so funny. However, although Binns' dancing is very fun, in the face of a large number of plants, Akin raised 100% spirit to deal with Binns. Ajin used the shave, moving his body at high speed, and instantly disappeared in front of Binns. After Ajin came to Binns, he picked up his weapon and smashed it against Binns. Binns has worked hard since being abused by Lucas, and it took so long to learn how to shave. Binns used the shave to move his body at high speed and disappeared instantly. When he came to the distance, he quickly continued to dance his posture. The thick plants rushed towards Ajin flexibly and quickly, trying to wrap Ajin in his uniform. Binns and Ain were defeated by Lucas and later received guidance from Lucas. For Lucas, this person, he admires very much. Sometimes he even regards Lucas as his goal. Only. Binns and Ain believe that even though Lucas is very strong, Lucas is Lucas and Akin is Akin. As Lucas's subordinates, there is not necessarily such a strong strength as Lucas. He and Ain are very optimistic students of Teacher Zephyr, and their pride thinks that they cannot lose to Akin. Only, it was too early for him to be happy. Akin's weapon was covered with armed color, and he violently smashed Binns' vines open. Binz calmed down and was not scared by Jin. He hurriedly used the shave and rushed to Jin in an instant. Holding the handle of the knife behind him, he instantly drew out the long knife and slashed it against Jin. Advertisement. Kang. A dull metal clash sounded, and Akin beat Binz back fiercely. Come on, Ajin, beat him. Buggy hurriedly cheered Ajin and shouted. He lost to Binz, and if Akin loses to Binz, then it doesn't matter to Lucas on the surface. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. Friendship first. But if this is the case, and they didn't win a game, then they will be punished by Lucas in the next few days. That's uncomfortable. Binz was holding a knife in one hand, and his body was moving backwards at the same time. The vines shot quickly and entangled towards Jin. At the same time, Binz touched his waist with the other hand, took out a few hidden weapons, and threw them directly at Jin. Maybe some people will say that Binz's method is despicable and shameless, but it's the case between Marine and the pirates on the sea. It's either you or I live. There is no such thing as despicable or despicable between life and death contests. Marine drew his hidden weapon, which is called a witty method. Marine shook people to siege, which is called a siege of justice. After all, this is a business test, and they are taking the test very seriously. Chang Chang. Akin continuously waved his weapon, opening Binz's hidden weapons one after another. When Akin opened the vine in front of him, Binz in front of him had already disappeared. In Jin's perception, he found Binz who was behind him, picked up his weapon, turned and smashed it at the opponent. It's just that Binz is always faster than Akin for some time, so Akin's block is not in the future, and Binz also laughed. He is going to win. Suddenly, Binz's knife fell through, and a shadow instantly appeared on the deck. The shadow slipped away, merged into the shadow of the main mast in the distance, and disappeared. Binz had just reacted, he was fooled, and quickly turned to block. But a similar scene happened, and Binz didn't get to parry in the future. Akin took off his weapon and attacked Binz with his feet instead, kicked Binz on Binz's A*, and kicked the guy directly onto the deck. Boom. Advertisement. Binz fell on the deck with a dog chewing mud. These small injuries were nothing. Binz turned his head and looked at Akin blankly. This guy, how did he do it just now? Ability to be faster than shaving. If shaving is moving at a high speed, and the speed is too fast for people to see clearly, then Akin is a direct teleport an extremely fast speed, you can know which one thinks about it. It's faster. How did you do it? Binz stood up quickly, not thinking that he was defeated at all, just wanting to know how Jin did that. Devil Fruit's ability. In the distance, Lucas said timely. After introducing Akin's Devil Fruit, Binz and Ain looked at Akin in shock. Jin can make a part of the shadow he manipulates lurking under the natural shadow, and then exchange positions with the shadow when there is no time to escape, so as to achieve the effect of teleport. The shadow is his coordinates. As long as there is a shadow in the distance, Akin can protect himself. Binz is a little skeptical of life now, and it feels too incredible. Shadow Fruit can actually teleport. Their expressions now are as incredible as others see them. Devil Fruit. On the current warship, there are a few more people who developed hockey than before, and there are a few more Marines who have learned the 6 forms. Lucas looked at these people. Now that Binz and Akin, Ain and Buggy have finished their trials, then he also has an idea. Everyone, look here. All the Marines looked at Lucas. Now they are on the way to New World. When they are not at their busiest time, they can see other people on the way to compete, as an entertainment project. Beginning tomorrow, all Marines on the warship except those with abilities will start to compete. I will pick the strongest one and give him a Devil Fruit. Wow. The crowd exploded in an instant, and even the well-trained Marine couldn't help getting excited at this time. Devil Fruit. After eating it, you can gain powerful strength. And Lucas Rear Admiral decided to pass the competition and give Devil Fruit to a subordinate. At this time, all the Marines looked at Lucas with enthusiasm, with reverence in their eyes. It is their Rear Admiral that is better, and they are willing to give the fruit fairly to the winner among them. Chapter 169,167. Ain's ready to move. Lucas, please subscribe. Ask for monthly pass. Advertisement. Back in the captain's room, Lucas was sitting behind the table, drinking coffee, and looking at the 2 people sitting across from him. Ain is a person who regresses fruit power, whether it is a person or thing, as long as it is something she touches, it will regress to the state it was 12 years ago. 1 touch goes back 12 years, and 2 touch goes back 24 years. This ability is simply too pervert. The easiest way to deal with people like Ain is to shoot her remotely. However, after the last time Lucas abused Ain, she felt that her strength was still too bad, so she kept practicing hard and finally learned the 6 poses. With the 3 life-saving skills of shaving, moonwalk, and paper arts, Ain can be said to make up for her shortcomings. And Ain also awakened observation hockey. Armament hockey hasn't been developed yet. Ain shook his head helplessly and said to Lucas. Seeing this young leader of Marine again, it is difficult to conceal her admiration for each other, but her weakness still makes her a little helpless. You are already very strong. At this age, you have developed the experience and beauty, learned the 6 forms, and also have this kind of good ability. You are already a very good existence among the younger generation. Lucas put down the coffee cup, smiled and comforted. He looked at Ain and Binz with some relief. As the ranks of his subordinates slowly rise, after a period of time, these people have the ability to be alone, and he will let go of these people. Let your subordinates lead their new subordinates to complete tasks without his protection. The veterans on the Lucas warship are all loyal to his subordinates. Over time, those who are outstanding, he will naturally let go and let the other party lead Marine on his own warship. This is not only for the training of all aspects of the subordinates' abilities, but also allows the Marines of Lucas to continue to expand their influence in the Marine forces. And as these subordinates leave his side, Lucas's warship will definitely need a new excellent Marine to replace him. And Ain and Binz are very good. Binz learned the 6 forms, and also learned some simple extension moves based on the 6 forms. The ability to manipulate plants with lush fruits is much stronger than before. It's just a pity that on Hockey, this guy is almost better than Ain. Hockey estimates it will take a while to develop. At least Hockey has not been developed yet. Advertisement. However, the fruit ability of these 2 people and the ability of the 6 types are already very good. New World is different from the paradise guarded by the Marine headquarters. It is a paradise for pirates, where powerful pirates gather. Besides, New World has a few strong guys in addition to a large number of powerful pirates. Quote. The powerful Whitebeard, Kaido, and Bigmom are 3 people, even I am not their opponent. After Lucas finished speaking, he added silently in his heart, running should be able to run. After arriving at New World, there will be many problems we will face. Every day will be very busy and tired. Would you still like to go to New World with me? After Lucas finished speaking, he picked up the coffee cup, and before drinking it, Ain and Binz answered him firmly. Of course I do. Ain looked at Lucas excitedly, stood up, and said excitedly, we have been waiting for this moment for a long time. We are so excited to be able to fight alongside Lucas Rear Admiral. Ain quickly added another sentence and sat down quickly after speaking. Now I don't know what happened, the media on the sea are reporting Lucas news every other time. Today, I will report on Lucas's capture of the pirates. A few days later, I will report on Lucas's arrest of the scum who embezzled military expenses. A few days later, I will report how It's just trying to blow Lucas, even Lucas can't stand it when he reads those newspapers. He praised his kendo, how good his boxing and kicking skills, and then praised how active he chased the pirates, and then praised his good marksmanship. Question mark. Lucas almost wanted to get the editor out and beat him up. Who was Ning being ironic about? There is a degree of blowing, it is too ridiculous. However, Lucas didn't think about who was so boring, so he vigorously praised him as a plain, little, Marine. The strength of this media obviously played a big role. Lucas is now not only famous among the people, but even in the army, most of the young Marines regard him as the leader of the younger generation of Marine, admiring him. The older Marine seniors also regarded Lucas as a good junior, giving him the green light for everything in the Marine on his warship. And Ain and Binz have had a good impression of him since they played against Lucas. Advertisement. For a long time, even like those people, admired Lucas. Now Marineford, the heroic single female Marine has some people who often block Lucas, wanting to confess. Fortunately, Monet's shield helped him block it. Otherwise, Lucas would have to become the public enemy of Marineford's male Marine friends. It is an honor for us to be able to follow Lucas Rear Admiral's side to learn and make continuous progress together. Binz stood up and said seriously. They are young and energetic, and they just went to sea to officially deal with pirates, and Rear Admiral is still a powerful Marine who has been to deal with pirates all over the world. What are they afraid of? Well, I appreciate your courage. Lucas nodded in satisfaction. Since Ain and Binz are willing to work with him by his side, he is confident enough to keep them by his side for a long time in the New World Marine branch. Anyhow, they are 2 good combat powers, and of course he will not refuse. Ain and Binz chatted with Lucas for a while, and Lucas asked Monet to take them on the warship to get acquainted. And he found that when the 3 of them walked out, Ain stared at Monet, and then secretly looked at Lucas expectantly. Lucas. No way. This woman just had a fight with Buggy, is she going to fight Monet again? Lucas silently watched the other person's back disappear in the doorway. Hey, what a nerve-wracking subordinate. Lucas was sitting in the room drinking coffee and looking at the information of New World, flipping through the documents. After a while, he suddenly heard the Marines outside shouting Ain and Monet excitedly. Through the window, Lucas saw Ain and Monet starting a match. I really envy the fledgling passion of these little Marines. Lucas tutted and continued to look down at his newspaper. After all these rookies on the boat, he didn't bother to formally compete with these people. Chapter 170,168. Who is surrounding whom? Look for a monthly pass. Please recommend. Please give a reward. Advertisement. Monet, Ain. On the deck, many Marines shouted and cheered. People looked at the 2 female Marines who were fighting each other and shouted excitedly. Originally, because there was only one female Marine on the warship, everyone let Monet be the goddess of everyone on the warship. Now it's all right, another female Marine, Ain, has arrived on the warship. Monet is the kind of lovely woman with long green wavy hair, and some sexy. And Ain, with a smooth sea blue wave and long hair, stopped there, and it was a different kind of beauty and sexiness. If he could smile more like Monet, then. Hiss. A Marine who has been single on a warship for many years couldn't help but shiver, thinking about it, I am looking forward to it. There was another beautiful female Marine on the warship, and another goddess. Although Monet is more cute, everyone knows that Monet doesn't like them at all. Monet has been pursuing a straight man of steel. Some people cheered for the newcomer Ain, and some cheered for Monet. Only, the 2 girls seemed to be not too cold for these guys. In the captain's room, Lucas glanced silently at the noisy guys outside. These guys were so excited when they saw the new female marine. It's as embarrassing as if you haven't seen a woman. A few days later, a warship sailed slowly in the waters near the New World Red Line. Lucas looked at the dark clouds in the sky through the window, thunder bursts, and shook his head helplessly. Why come to New World several times and always encounter such terrible weather? The wind was whistling outside the window, and the rain was pouring down. Inside the boat, Lucas was sitting by the window, holding a newspaper in his left hand and coffee in his right. And Monet sat opposite him, his white fingers on the table tapping regularly. In the distance, Ain and Bin sat in chairs, looking helplessly at a certain nympho. Didn't this nympho noticing that Lucas had been holding her back? Lucas was looking at the newspaper, and there was the noise of violent storms and rain outside, and there was Monet in front of him who would say something on the other side for a while, then knock on the table for a while. Advertisement. Hey, Lucas Rear Admiral has a good temper. Earlier, Monet noticed the way Ain secretly looked at Lucas, thinking that the other party liked Lucas. Monet was like a big enemy, feeling that he had met a rival in love. Ain is a student of Zephyr, and the opponent's Devil Fruit ability. Lucas said that it will be a very strong ability if used well. Monet looked at the two lumps of Ain, and then at his own stuff, a little inferiority. Although she had been promoted once before, in terms of her rank, Ain was just a small seaman. But Ain is excellent, has a background, looks no worse than himself, and is still in good shape. Monet had a great sense of crisis invisibly. These days, the two of them competed 3 to 4 times daily, and Ain had no choice but to ask Monet why he likes to compete with her so much. Then the two finally solved their misunderstanding, and Ain just worshipped Lucas purely. Monet sat on the opposite side of Lucas, holding his head with both hands, looking at Lucas cheerfully. It turns out that it's not a rival in love, so she can rest assured. That's right, this stupid elm bump never thought about that kind of thing. How could she be a threat, he. Monet muttered with a grinning laugh. What? Lucas put the newspaper down, looked at the stupid woman, leaned forward, and watched Monet reach out and knock her on the head. What are you talking about? No, nothing. Monet shook his head quickly, looking at Lucas so close to him, feeling the heat exhaled by the other party, his face turned red. Think less about messy things. Lucas looked at Monet helplessly, got up and walked away. Well, Monet nodded. But when everyone looked at the look of this nympho, they knew that Monet hadn't heard that sentence at all. Now it is estimated that she is dreaming about her pursuit of a bright future after Lucas. Hey, Monet's heart has become the shape of Lucas. Buggy was sitting in the far side of the cabin, eating, and he noticed that as Lucas walked away, there were a few lines of sight that kept watching him disappear into the corridor. Several Marines admiring Lucas, and 2 female Marines on the warship, Monet and Al-Ain. Buggy thought that Monet was too naive. She also didn't want to think about how she fell in love with Lucas. Monet originally only admired Lucas, and then really fell in love with this man a little bit. Just like Ain now, he admired this man extremely. Monet's journey to chase boyfriends is still full of threats. Advertisement. Lucas went back to his bedroom, half lying on the bed, leaning against the wooden wall, looking out the window. It didn't take long for the sun to shine in, the dark clouds outside dissipated, the squally wind stopped, and the bad weather changed to sunny in a while. The weather in New World is really like a child. Just talk about trouble, give lump candy, and laugh when you laugh. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. Rear Admiral is bad. Lucas stopped in a daze, stood up quickly, opened the door, and looked at Ah Jin who was standing outside. A large number of pirate fleets surrounded us. How many? Densely, there are more than 20 pirate ships. Quote exclamation mark quote. As Lucas ran out, he asked what Akin knew. Who is the other party taking the lead? Does the other party have the ability? The opponent's ship has 5 zone abilities, 1 Logia ability. Lucas nodded, looking like a strong pirate group. However, when asked about the name of Ah Jin's opponent, some of the names of the pirates Ah Jin said, although he had seen them on the bounty, did not appear in the original work. Lucas ran to the deck and looked at the more than 20 pirate ships that surrounded them. The muzzle of each pirate ship was aimed at them. Although they had buggy bullets on their warships, they had too many cannons, which caused a result. That is, as long as one of the 2 sides fires a cannon, the other side will fire it immediately. The pirates can sink the Lucas warship, and as long as the Lucas warship fires, Lucas's ability plus the power of the buggy bomb, all pirates don't even think about running, everyone will die together. Pirates weren't like this in the first place. They only thought it was an ordinary warship, but when they approached, the weather suddenly cleared and the fog cleared, only to realize that it was Lucas's warship. Don't look at the more than 20 pirate ship generals making dumplings, but they have heard of the horrific power of the Lucas warship, and Whiskey Peak is generally cleaned after a shot. Although this is an exaggerated effect they have seen through the media, in fact, a shell can also cause a terrifying effect under the power of Lucas. These pirates want to withdraw now, but they are afraid that the Lucas warship will give them a shot. Only this stalemate with trembling thighs. Chapter 171,169. Marsh fruit is now capable. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. After all, the Lucas warship comes with a shot. If their pirate ship capsizes, then no matter how many capable people are, it will be ruined. Hit close to stop them from firing. It is said that Lucas is a ruthless character who can compete with Katakuri, they have no confidence. Lucas stood on the deck, looking at the pirate on the opposite main ship. That should be the captain of the pirate. Lucas looked at the bald guy on the opposite side and thought. However, one thing surprised Lucas. If it wasn't for the difference in dress, he had seen these people's rewards before, and he really couldn't tell who was the captain. Because in his perception, the pirates of all the ships on the opposite side, as well as the captain, the moment they saw him, they were shocked and took a step back. Everyone was trembling in fear. Is he really so scary? Yes, he is Marine, and the harder the media is, the more scary it is for these pirates. Hey, how about we assume that we haven't seen each other today? Presumably you don't want to die together. The pirate Captain Gregory swallowed and said in fear. That won't work. Lucas looked at the bald pirate and shook his head. As a Marine, the incarnation of justice, since we have all met, you have surrounded us. Without sinking more than 20 pirate ships and killing a bunch of pirates, how can he be worthy of the civilians who respect him and the Marine who worships him? What? The gunner on the pirate's main ship trembled with fright while holding the torch. A zone-capable person on the ship quickly snatched the opponent's torch, good fellow, scared him to death, and almost everyone died together. Now the deck of the warship is full of Lucas's subordinates, and a large number of Marines are waiting. Perceived by Lucas's observation hockey, there was no trace of the Murloc Marine on the deck now. It turned out that the Murloc Marine dived into the sea long before these pirates surrounded. The Murlocs in the sea can breathe freely, and these Murlocs can do Murloc karate. Murloc Marines can attack the enemy's pirate ship at any time in the potential sea. The sight of a zone-capable person perceives the situation under the sea, his face changes drastically, and he has to remind the captain in a hurry. Advertisement. What? The captain turned to look at each other. Boom. Lucas rushed out in an instant, and under the state of full speed increase, the whole person shot at the pirate main ship on the opposite side. Be careful. 4 zone-capable people rushed to the captain, trying to stop Lucas. Lucas, whose speed is full, now uses moonwalk. The speed is ridiculous. The pirates can't even see the figure. The 4 zone abilities have just turned into human and beast forms, and their claws have not been lifted. They just have their heads one after another, parted from the body. Puff puff puff. One by one heads flew up and rolled down on the deck. The blood was sprinkled on the deck and splashed on Gregory's body. What? Gregory hadn't reacted yet, and the head of the companion who was talking to him in front of him flew up, and blood sprayed his face. Lucas's blood-stained long knife lay across Gregory's neck. You are not eligible to bargain with me. Gregory is a Logia-capable person, just about to prepare for elementalization, but snapped. A pair of seastone handcuffs directly and mercilessly handcuffed his hands, and Gregory looked at Lucas blankly. All this happened in an instant. Many pirates looked at the subdued captain with dumbfounded faces. They got caught so easily. The captain was caught, and most of the pirates had given up resistance. Lucas was too fast, so fast that they could not react at all. They did not have the tyrannical strength to resist the opponent's attack. Most of the pirates chose to give up resistance. I*%, at asterisk. Gregory yelled and cursed angrily with a look of anger. He lost so badly, he is a marsh fruit capable person. As long as he escapes the many powerful weapons hidden in the swamp, one person is a cannon. But he doesn't have the ability to predict the future, his body and brain can't keep up with the reaction, so he can only watch him get caught. Lucas put the knife across Gregory's neck again, and Gregory stunned. Shut up and squatted down on the deck, waiting for the opponent's hair to fall. The pirates on the other boats also put down their weapons at this time, waiting to fall. But there are pirates who surrendered because of the fear of Lucas's strength, and there is no shortage of those ruthless people who are not afraid of him. Advertisement. Fire. A pirate shouted loudly on a pirate ship in the distance. The 3 pirate ships next to him followed the man's yelling and put them into action. Counting that guy's ship, there were a total of 4 pirate ships that chose to fire at the warship and the pirate ship at the foot of Lucas. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 pirate boats were hit by a large amount of ocean currents instantly and sank slowly downwards. Murloc Marines used Murloc karate to concentrate the currents and directly destroy and sink the 3 pirate ships. And Lucas was standing next to the guy who took the lead in the resistance. On this ship, all the pirates who were close to the cannon were killed by him. Lucas was too fast. Almost before the gunners fired, they rushed over and killed the gunners on the ship. There was a lifeless gunner lying on the deck next to each cannon, and the main deck was stained red with blood. The guy shouting to fire the gun was lying on the deck at this time, his complexion unchanged before his death, a knife mark on his face, because he did not see the extremely fast Lucas hacking at him. The other pirates were already so scared that they sat on the deck, raised their hands high, and surrendered instantly. The pirates on the other pirate boats looked at the sea in horror, one by one becoming more honest. The Murlocs are still hiding under the water. As long as there are people on a pirate ship who dare to resist, they will sink the pirate ship. The pirates faced an unknown number of Murlocs hidden under the sea, and Lucas, who had a terrifying combat power above, completely devoid of resistance. The original more than 20 pirate ships have now sunk 3, but there are still more than a dozen pirate ships. These are hundreds of pirates, and Lucas doesn't think they have the ability to take all the pirates away. Moreover, even just now, he learned of 5 zone-capable people and 1 Logia-capable person on the opposite side. He was excited when he heard the news. After all, because he had taken out a fortified city fruit before, his subordinates were trained more quickly than before. Wouldn't it be better if there were a few more? But the situation is urgent, don't let him solve the problem so easily. If it were not for his strong suppression, killing the strongest of the pirates, and the help of the Murlocs underwater. Now they started shooting each other before the pirates. Therefore, in an emergency, he can leave a Logia-capable person, which is already very good. Chapter 170 2170. G5 Marine Branch. Please subscribe. Ask for monthly pass. Advertisement. Marine G5 Branch. A warship was docked on the shore, and on the shore, the Marines escorted a pirate to the Marine base. There are too many pirates, which is not conducive to escort. Lucas chose to trick the pirates to lay down their weapons first, and finally kill them all. This kind of pirates who have been bold enough to encircle the warship can show how rampant they are. Except for the pirate captain, all are wiped out. He wants the pirates to know the consequences of angering them. Lucas followed several of his men and a marine who came to greet him. The person's name was Too High, followed behind Lucas, and kept introducing him to the small town on the island and the Marine branch. Lucas glanced at him faintly, ignored him, and walked into Marine base. After finishing the work in this G5 Marine branch, Lucas came to the cell where the pirate was held. Gregory, the bald pirate, was handcuffed with seastone handcuffs and slumped on the prison wall, staring blankly at the iron railing in front of him. More than 20 pirate ships, as well as the many capable members of their pirate group, faced Lucas without any resistance. Now Gregory finally recognized the cruel reality. No matter how many people there are, it will not be able to compare with the real powerhouses on the sea. There was the sound of walking outside, and Gregory was attracted by the approach of the sound. Lucas came in and sat opposite. Gregory stared at the man angrily, but felt weak again. He was caught now, and it was useless to scold him. Lucas looked at Gregory. In his memory, many years later, there will be a marsh fruit-capable person. That person is called Caribou. As far as he knows, those with marsh fruit ability can turn their body into a muddy bottomless swamp, and can pull many things into the swampy body. You can hide things inside the swampy body, even a large number of weapons. The current marsh fruit-capable person has been arrested by him without using the ability. At present, marsh fruit has only one storage capacity. However, if you don't use marsh fruit as Logia, the main reason is that Gregory and Carib are too pull. A group of timid did not develop the capabilities of marsh fruit at all. Catch, the ability is useless. In Lucas's view, at least in reality the swamp is also extremely dangerous. If marsh fruit capable people cover the battlefield with a large amount of swamp, it is also a terrible trick for many ordinary marines. How the ability is used, after all, depends on how the ability is developed. These two capable people were too pull, and completely wasted this Logia fruit. Lucas looked at Gregory's eyes and stared at the man panicking. Scared, Gregory quickly lowered his head to avoid Lucas's eyes. Advertisement. Lucas got up from his chair and did not go to see Gregory again. He wanted to kill Gregory in that stupid way, and then see if he could produce fruit. That's right, just like dealing with those pirates, he didn't intend to save Gregory's life. Coming out of the Marine base, Lucas frowned when he saw that there was not much Marine training on the training ground. Walking around in the base, Lucas was very helpless because the Marine of this base, except for the people he brought, basically didn't have much training. And the number of Marines in the base is obviously wrong. Sitting in the office, Lucas flipped through the list. Boom boom boom. Come in. After Lucas said, a man opened the door and walked in with a flattering smile. Come over. Yes. He walked up quickly and looked at Lucas flatteringly. I heard that this is an extremely good presence among the younger generation of Marine, who can compete with Kata Curry. If you go too far, you have to stammer well. Lucas flipped through the list, then dropped the list on the table, and then flipped through other materials. There are information from the G5 Marine branch, as well as information from his channel to get G5 news. Lucas shook his head helplessly. Do you really think that the information provided too much can deceive him? They really want to investigate this guy, they can still find out. At the door of the office, Akin grabbed a Marine and walked in. Akin brought this guy to his side. Report to Lucas, Rear Admiral. Just now, this Marine was eating a king's meal in a restaurant in the town. Excessively relieved, overlord meal, in a small sense, why does he still think about it? It's not a big deal at all. After all, what they usually do is more than excessive. Furthermore, he beat the shopkeeper. Puff. Cough cough cough. Coughing and choking too much, good fellow. When Lucas is not here, they can still be their violent rogue Marine. Advertisement. Food and money are trivial matters, and occasional transactions with pirates are basic exercises. But, is this B************ D an idiot? Lucas, Rear Admiral, is Sakazuki's adopted son. This man is definitely a cruel man too. This B******** D even dared to do this after Lucas came, and found Lucas looking at him over his head. Now his forehead was full of sweat, and he didn't dare to see Lucas. The other party has reason to investigate them. Akin takes orders. Yes. Grab everyone on this list and interrogate them one by one. Yes. Lucas handed Akin a list of names in his hand. Akin took a look, then looked over and handcuffed the guy directly. Let's go, accept the investigation. Ah Jin said, grabbing the awkward head, and went out. Lucas rubbed his head and sighed. The intelligence in his hand comes from the CP organization. For some reason, after Alabasta, as long as he wants to know the information he does not need Marine, the CP organization directly handed it to him, and the information is faster than Marine. Lucas feels that 5 elders is after him. Do you want him to be the next tool of world government? No matter what the other side thinks, the information provided by the other side really needs to be faster and more accurate. Overhead and the other Marines in the G5 branch are themselves violent rogue Marines. Eating Bawang's meal or something is a trivial matter. These guys are usually rude and unreasonable in the small town and lie to their own people. The first-class people will even trade with pirates. Even if Virgo does not come to the G5 branch, these people are the villains in Marine. There is no need for Virgo's indulgence at all, they have a big problem in themselves. Thinking about it this way, Lucas is very helpless. It seems that compared with these, training laziness is a trivial matter. After a while, Monet walked in and reported to Lucas. All caught up. Grab it. Chapter 173,171. The Disappearing Island. Golden Lion. Please subscribe. Ask for monthly pass. Advertisement. Lucas and Monet walked out of the office, through interrogation, Overdone and his people recruited. These guys, as stated in the newspaper, acted unreasonably in the town, and often made some transactions with the pirates. He was handcuffed over his head and looked at Lucas as he walked in with fear. He feels that his marine career ends here, and he will spend the rest of his life in the underwater prison in the future. What did they do? Ain asked curiously, standing behind Lucas. Martial law disposal, Lucas said, turning his head to face Lucas Rear Admiral with a cold expression, his body trembled in fright. Military and military law disposal. Not to put him in an undersea prison. Lucas looked over for a while, got up and walked out. Colluding with the pirates, is this guy still dreaming of imprisonment? Want to be beautiful? This kind of guy is often more damn it than some pirates. He has already greeted the Marine headquarters, the first-class people will be sent to the court first, and then these people will be executed. Although such a guy was often imprisoned in the past and rarely executed, Lucas is somehow someone with a background. It is still possible to execute a few small characters. Stop thinking about things too much. Lucas found the team led by Akin. Akin followed Lucas, and in front of him stood a small team of Marine. There are Marine who has awakened hockey, and Zachary who is Grandmaster Murloc Karate. Moreover, the previous Marine who won the competition and got the fruit of Jonchung is a Marine who can play hockey in the team. This Marine is not the character that appeared in the original book, but Lucas is still satisfied. Because of his reasons, his Marine training is very hard. Although it is not the original role he has heard of, it is also an excellent Marine that has relied on hard work to break away from among many Marines. No matter what they are much better than other Marines. Lucas never treated these people badly. Even the money obtained from fighting the pirates was divided among the subordinates. And Lucas once again offered devil fruit as a reward, which once again made Lucas's subordinates grateful to him. Advertisement. Lucas is so good to his subordinates, and he is still a leader among young Marines, so now there are more people who want to board his warships than before. The Marines' enthusiasm for training has also increased. Next I want to give you a task. Lucas handed an intelligence book to Akin. This is the information of the pirate group who had traded with them before. These people are too bold and have dealt with 5 pirate groups. I order you to destroy these pirate groups one by one and bring their money back. Yes. After Lucas finished speaking, everyone in the team nodded and shouted. Akin led the team and left the Marine base, ready to deal with the pirates. Lucas watched them walk away. He has read the information of those pirate groups, and those pirate groups are just little pirate groups that survive in the chaotic New World. Currently the 4 Emperors pattern is undecided. In addition to those pirate groups, New World also has many other pirate groups. The weakest pirate group of the 5 pirate groups has only 2 people with 2-color hockey, and the strongest pirate group has only 3 zone abilities and 5 people with 2-color hockey. 5 people with 2-color hockey sounds scary at first, and they think they are very strong. But it's really nothing in New World. After all, it's one thing, and whether it's strong or not is another. According to his understanding, these people's hockey are not very good, and the strength of hockey is the bottom of the existence. The hockey of those people is not as strong as the team members. Lucas didn't worry about Akin leading the team to deal with those people. If even such an enemy cannot be dealt with, then this Akin's squad might as well disband. Lucas put the Marine cape in the Marine base office, changed into a casual outfit with a long knife on his waist, and walked into the town. When he came to a restaurant, he had a meal and a bottle of wine on his waist, and talked with the big brother at the table next to him. The meal was brought up by the boss. Lucas was eating while listening to the people around him telling him about the previous situation in the town. No one knew that he was the new base commander. After all, Lucas chose to enter the base low-key when he first arrived. In New World, there is no need for such a high-profile welcome to come to the G5 base. After his understanding, it was indeed as rude and unreasonable to the townsfolk as the intelligence said. While eating, Lucas sat in the dining room reading the newspaper. Open black lens bracket shock. An island in West Blue disappeared overnight. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Lucas looked at the newspaper photo. Above a piece of the sea, what should have been a beautiful island, now disappeared. Lucas had some impressions of that island, during which he had been to that island. This news suddenly made him stunned. Think of a person. 12 years ago, the guy named Shaki chopped off his feet bound by seastone shackles in order to escape Impel Down, thus taking out Impel Down. And he, known as the Golden Lion, was the first prisoner to successfully escape from Impel Down. Before a while, he would see news, also news about the disappearing island. Since the first time he saw the disappearing island in the newspaper, he guessed that it was the start of Golden Lion's operation. The first island should be the one with the plant named IQ. Golden Lion discovered the island, found that IQ could speed up the evolution of animals, and started planning with his deputy. Lucas looked at the newspaper and thought for a while. The lion fruit of Golden Lion is too troublesome, and he can only know the whereabouts of Golden Lion through the disappearing island. And when he knew, the other party might have already left there. It seems that I haven't disrupted the Golden Lion line, right? There should be no problems with Golden Lion's plan. It's useless to think so much now, after all, it's hard to track the opponent's trail. There is only Golden Lion to the plot. I'm going. Lucas suddenly patted the table, who said he didn't move the Golden Lion plot line. The moment Luffy was taken to Marineford by him, the plot line of the world had long been messed up. Without Luffy and others encountering the Golden Lion, would the Golden Lion still be defeated? Golden Lion is afraid that it is not going to fight East Blue directly. Lucas just wanted to understand that it was not that he did not destroy it. In fact, when he said that he brought Luffy to Marineford, the plot had already been destroyed. At the same time, a number of islands floated high above the sea somewhere. Floating around Sky Island, there is sea water. A man dressed up as a funny man walked towards the Golden Lion with a strange sound. Chapter 174,172. Golden Lion's Grandma. For subscription. For monthly pass. For reward. Advertisement. Puff puff. Indigo, dressed up in a funny dress, walked slowly, and his ugly footsteps successfully attracted the attention of Golden Lion Shiki. Indigo kept making various gestures toward the Golden Lion, and as the air around him stirred his clothes, Golden Lion looked at Indigo, his deputy, blankly. What is he expressing? Ah, that. Puff puff. Indigo kept walking on his own feet, making strange noises, waving his hands, trying to make Golden Lion understand his description with gestures. Quote. Golden Lion looked at each other speechlessly, insisting on. Is that so? Newspaper. Indigo couldn't help it, and put the newspaper in front of Golden Lion. You can talk. Golden Lion looked at Indigo, shockedly, and the expression of his deputy was full of helplessness, and he could speak beforehand. Golden Lion spread out the newspaper and looked at it curiously. It's this nasty guy again. The content in the Golden Lion newspaper was obviously unpleasant. Except for Lucas, what has happened to these media recently? What else can you do besides blowing this junior? It's just a young kid in the marine. The newspaper Tenton trumpets this man. One will say how powerful Lucas is, one will say how righteous Lucas is, and the other will say that Lucas's future is very good. It may be the top combat power in marine, ending the era of the great pirates or something. No one has any opinions about blowing it once in a while, but blowing it so frequently every 3 days. Even Golden Lion was disgusted. Of course, Lucas is also quite disgusting. What's the ability of this Lucas? Golden Lion looked at Indigo with some evil interest. Increase, it is said that this guy is very pervert capable. Indigo put Lucas's information in front of Golden Lion. New world. Golden Lion couldn't help laughing. If his strength is as strong as what the newspaper says, then I don't mind giving Marine a small gift in advance. Gia ha 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 ha. Golden Lion is full of bad taste. He plans to go to the G5 Marine branch and meet the young Marine for a while. He even thought about how to treat each other. Advertisement. By the way, how is IQ research? Golden Lion looked at Indigo and asked, eyes full of expectation. Indigo heard this much more honestly, and no longer continued to make strange noises and report honestly. The research and development of new drugs based on IQ is still under study, but through IQ, we have successfully evolved an animal. Indigo quickly reported. Don't look at Golden Lion's forehead with a rudder plugged into his forehead, his brain is affected a little. Sometimes he always catches an animal to recognize his relatives, or look at the storm clouds saying that it's an explosive head that commits Alzheimer's, but Golden Lion after all, he was still a big pirate. Golden Lion's ruthlessness and Indigo have a deep understanding. He has seen this guy suddenly kill his subordinates who inadvertently upset him. He can be a little funny when he is okay, and he seems to get along well with Golden Lion. But now IQ, this kind of plant, based on the new medicine he has not finished, he has not reported honestly that he is afraid of being punished or something. He is the leading researcher of IQ. Although he will not be killed, he will be punished by the other party. Indigo looked at Golden Lion in fear, and Golden Lion nodded. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Bring that animal over to me to see. Golden Lion said. Yes. Indigo turned around and made a chuckle, and walked out. After a while, Indigo walked in, followed by an orangutan. The other pirates on the side looked at the orangutan silently, and there were 2 long and pointed teeth on the lower row of teeth, and the size was about the same as that of a human. So, what evolution did the B********** D Indigo use IQ to make for this orangutan? Hey, Grandma. Golden Lion grabbed his head and stood up in shock. Quote. The pirate on the side was helpless. Shiki was guilty of old problems again. There was a rudder stuck in his head, which seriously affected his nerves. Can an orangutan be regarded as his grandmother? Is this really just a disease of Alzheimer's? It's just a gorilla. Indigo would take the initiative to speak angrily, and quickly waved in front of the Golden Lion. If Golden Lion continues like this, he seriously doubts whether their plan has a future. Even the orangutan that ate the plant named IQ waved his hand speechlessly, wanting to say that it is a male, and it must be the old guy's grandfather. Ape. Advertisement. The rudder on the golden lion's head actually existed many years ago. As early as when Roger was still alive, Golden Lion wanted to join Roger to rule the world, but when Roger refused, he turned into anger. Leading his own pirate regiment, Golden Lion and Roger fought a naval battle. The large fleet of flying pirates fought against the Roger pirates, and once felt that the Roger pirates were at the end of their lives. However, a sudden storm drove most of the flying pirates' fleet to the bottom of the sea. In that terrifying disaster for Golden Lion, a rudder was inserted into his head. Since pulling out the rudder plugged in the head is very life-threatening, and it is incredible to survive, so the rudder stayed on the head of Golden Lion. Indigo is confident that Golden Lion has become what it is now because of the damage to the rudder nerves. And that naval battle was later called the Battle of 8 Volume. Although Golden Lion later admitted that Roger had defeated him, he was unwilling in his heart. Roger is dead, he is still alive. Golden Lion wants to avenge Marine, he wants to destroy East Blue. He himself is an extremely bad guy, sabotage and killing was originally his nature. And the more the media promoted Lucas, the young Marine, the more Golden Lion wanted to ruin the young man's future and gave Marine a gift. Above the sky, several islands floating under the control of Golden Lion suddenly accelerated and flew towards the distance. Golden Lion stood on the edge of the floating sky island, looking at the sky in the distance, feeling the gale blowing. Accelerate IQ, the development of new drugs, I want to retaliate to Marine in advance. Yes. Indigo nodded quickly and agreed. Grand Line, on an island. Boom. Lafitte stood in front of a pirate, the hypnosis opponent, and then drew a rapier from his cane, and a sword penetrated the pirate's heart. Rumble. Daz Bonus lifted his blade stayed with both arms, while the group of pirates on the opposite side bled one by one and fell down. Behind the pirates, a house collapsed. Chapter 175,173. What force is blocking my sight? Please subscribe. Ask for monthly pass. Advertisement. Daz Bonus's quick cut fruit is very strong. Facing his attack, the numerous hostile pirates on the opposite side were instantly killed by him. An unmanned room at the back was also affected by the slash and collapsed. After destroying the pirate group that wanted to challenge them, Daz Bonus turned around and walked towards the pirate group's companions. From going to sea until now, except for Akin and Lucas he has met. None of the swordsmen and gunmen he encountered, whether it was the opponent's sword or bullet, could break through his defense. The pirates who challenged Daz Bonus were all killed by him. Lafitte stood in the distance, looked at the newspaper and smiled. The headline of the newspaper reported that Lucas completely destroyed the New World large-scale pirate group. The pirates of more than 20 pirate ships were all killed by Lucas. Even the captain of the pirate finally announced that he had been killed. Lafitte looked at the people in the newspaper regrettably. Lucas's way of dealing with the pirates was too much to his taste. It's just a pity that the other party didn't recruit him. Otherwise, he will follow the other party back to the right path happily. Then look down. The next news in the newspaper reported the news of this year's supernova. Captain, come and have a look, you're in the newspaper. Lafitte waved to Daz Bonus and shouted. Daz Bonus took the newspaper, saw the news of Lucas, and then looked down. The newspaper reported many supernova pirates this year, and he was one of them. How's the magnetic recording? Daz Bonus asked. It's recorded. Lafitte replied. Continue to the next island. Daz Bonus led his crew back to the ship and set sail. No one thought that this supernova would be an undercover agent sent by Marine. New World, Marine G5 branch. A huge slashing wave slashed 3 pirate ships from the island to the sea. Lucas maintained the posture of swinging the knife, staring closely at the pirate group attacking G5. Advertisement. And behind him, followed all his subordinates. Since coming to G5, Lucas has ordered Akin and others to attack the pirates who had previously cooperated with over transactions. Jin did not let him down, and led his team to wipe out the pirate groups one by one. In the following time, Lucas discovered that many pirates from New World had come to him to fight. I have heard that he and Katakuri can be matched. There are too many pirates who want to be famous, and they all come to the G5 branch to take the initiative to fight him. Lucas knew what this meant. If he agrees, it will further make people believe that he is on par with Katakuri. If he loses, then the residents of the small town behind him will face the massacre of a large number of pirates. In the past, I just came to New World to do missions, and I came and went in a hurry. There was no chance to understand here. Today, he has a profound experience in New World. What is meant by human life is worthless. Compared to the 4 seas in the first half of the Grand Line, New World is too messy. Pirates in other places are still often hunted down by Marine, not as rampant as New World. The current situation of the New World and 4 emperors is undecided. Except for those people he knows well, in many places, there are a large number of powerful pirates competing for territory and fighting each other. In those places, the owners of some islands will change every once in a while. Either intensify the collection of protection fees, or the pirates' village and town. Things like toucan are much more frequent here than in other sea areas. In short, many marine forces in New World are far inferior to pirates, and people in New World are living very hard. In these days, Lucas destroyed 5 pirate groups on the most day and 1 pirate group on the least day. He finally saw how messy New World was. The pattern of the four emperors is undecided, and the rookie pirate groups that appear every year in New World continue to increase the number of pirates in this sea area, making the chaos more and more obvious. Boom. The chopping wave directly destroyed a pirate ship on the left. As the chopping wave flew away, the pirate ship was cut off in the middle, the screams of the pirates came from the ship, and the ship sank quickly. At this moment, a large number of ocean currents rushed out from the bottom of the sea, and a turbulent rotating current hit the pirate ship in the middle. Murloc Marine used Murloc Karate to sink a pirate ship. The pirates who fell into the water were all chased and killed by the underwater Murloc Marine. The sea is the home ground of the Murlocs. The pirates did not even scream, they were killed by the Murlocs rushing in the gloom of the sea. Boom. Advertisement. There was another noise, and the third pirate ship was hit by a huge ocean current and sank into the sea. The pirate ship in the middle was sunk by several Murloc Marines, and the third pirate ship was sunk by Zachary solo using Murloc Karate. In recent days, Zachary's Murloc Karate has improved more than before. After a while, the Murloc Marines, led by Zachary, returned to the shore and reported to Lucas. These 3 pirate groups have been killed by us, Zachary said. Okay, the security and aftermath work is left to you and Akin. Lucas glanced at the ship debris floating on the sea, turned and walked back to town. Understood. Akin and Zachary nodded. Walking in the town, Lucas greeted the enthusiastic villagers on the street. Returning to the marine base, closing the door, he directly threw his cloak aside and sat directly on the chair, putting his 2 long legs on the table. After taking a long and deep breath, Lucas felt really tired. In fact, those pirates are not difficult to deal with, but pirates come to attack every day, and the concentration of the pirates is a little tired. And he still didn't dare to fall behind the progress of training, who knew who the pirates would be to attack this island in the next moment. If it were some pirates he couldn't deal with. But now he is the head of the G5 base, and his identity cannot make him retreat. Closed his eyes and squinted for a while. When he was most tired, Monet quietly walked in, put his fingers on his head, and gently kneaded him. With us, your pressure can be shared with us, Monet said softly. Quote. Lucas was silent for a while, then nodded with a sigh of relief. Monet stood quietly behind him, rubbing his head gently for Lucas. In fact, Lucas was not at all clueless. He had already seen what Monet was thinking about. It's just that he has always been in a state of high concentration. There are too many strong people, and he has to put all his energy into training. Or just thinking about where to go and find a kid with a good talent tomorrow. Gently holding Monet's hand, Lucas opened his eyes and looked at her. Hey, I only saw half of my face. Chapter 176,174. Lucas's severe beating of Jack. Please subscribe. Autumn monthly ticket. Seek a reward. Advertisement. Report. There are important things to report. A Jin's shout came from outside the door, a little anxious. Lucas glanced at Monet, got up quickly, put on his cloak and went out. Opening the door, while walking outside, he asked Jin what had happened. Jack, one of the 3 plagues of the Kaido pirate group, suddenly strikes. Akin said, and Lucas ran out directly. Jack is no ordinary pirate, he needs to pay attention to this matter. The pirates who came before were all well resolved. They were just annoying, but Jack was really threatening, and Kaido behind him was even more dangerous. Jack, the big sign of beasts pirates, Kaido's confidant, is known as the 3 plagues, and is a person with zone-like elephant fruit ancient species mammoth form ability. As far as Lucas knows, this guy has a cruel temperament, good strength, and extremely resistant to fights. Years later, in the face of the wheel battle between Anuarashi and Cat Snake's belly, Jack can fight endlessly for 5 days and 5 nights, which shows how difficult it is to deal with. However, this person Jack. There are some nasty criticisms. This guy never accepts negotiations. What can be solved by force is solved by force, which is what we often say, do not be as much as possible. However, this still does not prove that he is a nasty critic. After all, people have the strength to not negotiate with the furry principality. In the original book, facing the warship that escorted Doflamingo, the ship carried Fujitora, Sengoku, and Crane, and Jack did not hesitate to launch an attack. Han criticized, or Jack Han criticized. Boom. Lucas saw and heard the color perception, and ran in the direction of the loud noise. On the shore, Jack went ashore, feeling a large number of controlled plants crazily entangled on his body, growing continuously. Jack shouted angrily, his body directly exploded a large number of wildly growing vines, and then grabbed 2 straight knife-shaped lower body and sickle-shaped upper body weapons. Quickly waving his hands, he swept the sickle-like weapon directly, and Binz, who launched the attack, quickly retreated back, avoiding Jack's attack. Jack's weapon directly smashed the boulder beside him. Buggy led the people back while resisting Jack and others' attacks. Just now, their buggy bombs on the shore successfully destroyed Jack's pirate ship, and Jack also brought some of his men to the shore. Jack's men destroyed their cannons. Faced with Jack's mighty strength, Buggy would definitely be the first to run if he didn't know that Lucas would be coming soon. Advertisement. Block Jack. Absolutely can't let this pirate rush over, we are Marine. Buggy shouted, seeing Lucas running behind him, courageous enough. Ain rushed out and slapped Jack with a palm. As long as she touched the other person, she could set Jack back 12 years. Swish. The 2 sharp sickle weapons in Jack's hand broke through the wind and slashed at Ain. Kang. Kang. Lucas rushed up. The long knife came out of its sheath and directly blocked Jack's 2 weapons. You are not his opponent, step back. Lucas scolded. Ain nodded, bypassing Lucas and Jack to deal with Jack's men. Jack, why on earth did you come here? Lucas held the knife in both hands to summon his strength and used the booster to push Jack back again and again. Boom. Before Jack fell, Lucas appeared next to the opponent's head instantly, kicked Jack's head, and buzzed the guy's head. Jack's tall body fell to the ground, dusty. And the man who stood not far from Jack and juggled with swordsmen attracted the attention of Marine and the pirate who were present. Gia, Jack were defeated like this. When the Marines were about to cheer, they saw Lucas shaking his head. Happily it's too early. Jack is difficult to be entangled with, this guy is very resistant to beating. The pirates looked at Lucas in shock. Is this person really so rumored? Jack moved and started to stand up, and the Marines looked at each other vigilantly again. And the pirates cheered. How could Lord Jack be defeated in such a simple way? Lucas swung 3 huge chopping waves at Jack, and flew quickly towards Jack one by one, hitting Jack's shoulder severely one after another. Rumble. As soon as Jack stood up, he was hit and overturned by Lucas's chopping wave, and he fell down again. Lucas rushed over in an instant. Just as Jack was about to sit up, he saw Lucas rushing to the top and slashing towards him. 2 sickle-shaped weapons blocked it. Advertisement. Lucas in the augmented state, holding a knife in one hand, directly pressed Jack's 2 weapons, and then slapped Jack with a palm. The shock wave formed by the external release of the armed color blasted out, directly hitting Jack's body. Jack snorted and pushed Lucas away with a hard push. He stood up and backed away. The few chopping waves just broke through the defense of his shoulders, and blood was bleeding on his shoulders now, but fortunately, his powerful resilience and resistance to fights did not make his arm useless. But Lucas's next move of armed force was released, and it hurt him directly. Jack yelled angrily. He never expected that this Lucas was as strong as the newspaper said. He who came to attack Lucas was actually hit right from the start. Looking at Lucas standing in the distance, Jack took a moment to relax, then roared and rushed up, sweeping up the weapon he held in both hands. Lucas disappeared in an instant, and it was difficult for Jack to perceive him. Jack looked around warily, remembering Lucas's ability to restrain Katakuri most. Katakuri said that when dealing with Lucas, he tried his best to contain and restrict the opponent, and he still relied on the ability of foresight to prepare in advance, and then he barely blocked Lucas's offensive. If he continues to fight, when his energy is exhausted, he will be unable to stop the fast and terrifying Lucas. Jack didn't believe this at all. It was only now that he personally played against Lucas, that he really understood the powerlessness of Katakuri. He didn't have the ability to predict the future, he couldn't foresee, and he couldn't assimilate the surrounding objects. The only thing Jack had troubled Lucas was his defense. But, obviously, this advantage of Jack makes him hold on for longer and be beaten for longer. A huge force acted on Jack's sickle-shaped weapon and directly knocked Jack's 2 weapons into the air. Jack couldn't see Lucas at all, so he could only punch with both fists. With both fists thrown out, Lucas easily avoided Jack's attack, raised his foot, and kicked it hard against Jack's chin. Boom. A puff of blood spurted from Jack's mouth, and his whole body flew backwards, overwhelming a big tree. Chapter 177,175. Jack was arrested. Subscribe. Ask a monthly pass. Advertisement. The tall trees were fragile in the face of the sturdy and tall Jack, and were directly overwhelmed. Jack grasped the sickle-shaped weapon in both hands, gritted his teeth and climbed up, his eyes tightly watching around. His perception couldn't catch Lucas at all. In the face of such an outrageous speed, Jack could only rely on intuition and experience to judge Lucas's attack. Hastily ran to the side and picked up his 2 weapons. Listening to the sound coming from the left, Jack was about to swing his weapon and cut it over. But he didn't even twist his body, and the opponent's offensive had already fallen. Jack suffered a heavy blow in the face, then he slashed while flying backwards. Lucas easily escaped Jack's attack, and then slashed at Jack's body. Pouch. A deep and long wound was opened up on Jack's body, and blood was splashed. One of Jack's men rushed over. As a result, a chopping wave slammed out of an invisible place, which directly cut the guy's body in 2. In the distance, the pirates who were pressed and beaten by Lucas's subordinates looked at this side in fear. No one dared to come over. Jack is powerful, but facing the invisible figure, the pirates are so scared that they have the idea of running away. If it weren't for Jack hadn't died, they would have ran away long ago. Boom, 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 boom. Lucas cut Jack's body with a single knife, and kicked Jack's bloody body one after another. If it weren't for Jack's powerful recovery ability and ability to fight offenses, he would have died a long time ago. Jack had already given up the 2 knives in his hand and turned into a mammoth form, but even so, he was still only beaten. The people hiding in the town looked out of the town through the window one by one, only to see a mammoth being kicked by an invisible person, and then the huge guy flew out directly. Even some boulders in the distance were smashed by Jack, who flew upside down. Come on, Lucas Rear Admiral, P***s that pirates a. At this time, a window of a house opened, and a little girl with a ponytail poked her head out, although we couldn't see Lucas Rear Admiral. Very fast figure, but still can't stop her little fan girl from shouting and cheering. It's too dangerous to come back. The little girl's mother quickly grabbed her young daughter back and closed the window. Come on, Lucas Rear Admiral, fight so much that he doesn't even know his mother. The mother had just finished teaching her daughter herself, and she became a fan of Lucas. Advertisement. Quote. The husband on the side looked at the two women speechlessly. The people in the town shouted over and over again, cheering for Lucas Rear Admiral over and over again. They saw Lucas's efforts to protect them, and wiped out the pirates who had come. For the people here, Lucas Rear Admiral is their guardian. But, at this time, Jack and his pirates were under pressure, so the cheering of these people made these pirates angry. Covered in blood, the scarred Jack turned into a mammoth that swayed continuously. He stared at Lucas angrily, and received a severe beating from Lucas. This guy actually rushed up again. Fear. Jack is the most reckless if it doesn't exist. Boom. Jack still didn't notice Lucas. Lucas on the left suddenly rushed up and kicked on Jack's left belly. Jack's whole person. That's not right. His whole head was like a strange body, and he flew out in an instant. With a loud bang, he fell to the shore in the distance. Just a little bit, Jack fell into the water. Jack was breathing fast, and he almost missed the kick with the kick just now. Suddenly, Jack cried out in pain, vomiting blood all over the floor, and he knelt down at his feet when he just stood up. Lucas's power is too terrifying, even if it's just punches and kicks, the sword strikes didn't use their full strength. Jack was still suffering from the beating. He was kneeling on the ground and suddenly noticed that a pair of feet appeared in front of him. Lucas showed up. Jack quickly raised his head and saw Lucas standing in front of him, and he was about to confront him. Lucas stretched out his hand, grabbed Jack's head, and held down the guy. Okay. Powerful, power. Jack said, staring at Lucas while coughing up blood. He pushed it hard, but he didn't even shake the opponent. Tell me, why are you here? Lucas looked at Jack and asked. Cough cough. I just want to try your abilities. Jack said painfully with blood from the corners of his mouth. What? How strong are you? Jack asked unwillingly. You guess. Advertisement. Jack stared at Lucas angrily, and he fell into the other's hands. As a result, this guy didn't plan to tell him. Lucas smiled and looked at Jack. He didn't plan to tell the opponent about his current strength, whether it was hockey or fruit development ability. After all, this guy is just a dying person now. You tell me one thing, how about I save your life? Lucas said with a smile. What? Jack looked at Lucas in surprise. As early as Lucas caught Jack, the opponent had withdrawn from mammoth form. Jack was talking to Lucas, with a fist behind him, ready to attack. Boom. Lucas lifted his right foot and hit Jack's head with a drop. Jack was hit hard on the head, and he squatted to the ground with a cry of pain. Lucas smashed Jack's head with his feet. Jack clasped the ground with both hands, struggling, but faced with Lucas, who was full of strength gains, he could only continue to twist and twist with his face. Give up struggling, just tell me one thing, and I will save your life. Say, where is the Wanokuni secret passage and how do I get in? Don't you want to know? Although Jack is criticized, he is still very loyal to Kaido and won't talk about it. Lucas smiled and looked at Jack, then Lucas swung 4 knives and cut Jack's limbs off directly. Jack stared, and continued to inhale the air conditioning. Huge pain hit. Jack, who was chopped by Lucas with an adult stick, kept convulsing violently. But it was really incredible. His limbs were broken, he was seriously injured, and Jack was still alive at this time. I don't know if I will lose too much blood and die. Lucas kicked Jack's head fiercely, kicking the guy directly to faint. It disappoints me too much. Lucas shook his head helplessly. Jack, one of the 3 plagues, faced him so badly. Dragging the stick Jack, Lucas walked towards the town, preparing to return to Marine base. When the pirates saw that Jack was defeated, they threw their knives and spears one by one, faced the Marine who surrounded them, and surrendered completely.